Hello everybody and welcome, or so bad strange would say, welcome Dark and Darker Dungeon Delvers. I'm your host Nomad and this is the Zero to Hero solo tourneys. This tournament is sponsored by the Inquisition, Cleanse the Darkness with your favorite streamers, and Rapunzel Investments. Invest smarter together. Joining me today is my co-caster Odin and our showrunner Arcane Armor. Odin, how are we doing today?
It is a bright and beautiful sunny day here in Austin, Texas. Hopefully not getting too sunny because this monk frock gets a little hot. And with all the action that we have to look forward to today, I'm sure I'm going to be sweating after I'm screaming my lungs out. Arcane, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. It's a bright and sunny day here in Ohio as well.
Glad to hear it. So we are going to go into the tournament format here. Nomad, if you'd like to pull up the screen so we can talk a bit about that show, why don't you walk us through what we have to look forward to today?
So yeah, well, today we're going to be going through a solo-only tournament. We'll swap over to the class cards here, and we'll go over and just kind of bring up the rule sets, I guess. Make things nice and easy. Let me just eliminate these for you real quick. Okay, so our tournament rules chat for everyone involved today. Again, the tournament will be starting here at the end of the hour. All gameplay must be recorded or streamed live. 1 player kill equals 1 point, but you have to get the kill in the kill feed. So that means you can't, unfortunately, get a kill through a trap or somebody dying to the storm or the dark cloud moving in. Can't happen. Has to be your kill specifically for it to count. Dying is 0 points for this run. You must enter or you must escape to bank your points. You have to leave through that blue portal. You have to get back safely. This is a solo only tournament. Queuing with friends is prohibited. Be on time. Runs will only count from start time to finish time. You must create a new character to qualify your runs. As we said, this is a fresh start tournament, so brand new characters coming through to take part in this tournament. You can't use your existing max level characters. Runs in progress during the tournament finish will not be counted, and receiving items for free or discounts by trading will end up in disqualification, so no getting some freebies from your friends to help you out during your tournament run.
Hello there. This is going to be a really interesting format. This is tough. I mean, solos are already hard enough to begin with, but with all these extra rules on the board, it's going to be very challenging. I know we have some really, really good players with us today. Some people that we've watched succeed in previous tournaments are now going to be on their own. So although they are used to having the power of a certain comp that most people have been enjoying abusing, now they have to do it all by themselves. We saw yesterday, actually, in one of the tournaments, I believe the one that Rested XP was hosting, Orlanthe was playing by himself in a lobby with a bunch of trios. So he's kind of already prepared himself. Maybe he was already thinking ahead of time when he was going into those solo. And he managed to do fairly well, but it just goes to show how hard it is in a 1v3. All these players are going to be dropping into Forgotten Castle by themselves, and they're going to be put in those 1v3 situations. Now, are they going to be playing against the best players in the game? Maybe not. They might run into some new players, but that's the luck of the draw. They have to evaluate the situations as they come, and it's going to be tough. I mean, I'm expecting some pretty low kills in here. We talked about that a little bit beforehand. Nobody's expecting anybody to pop off. Do you have a favorite player, Nomad, that you think is going to be popping off? And you can't say Orlanthe because that's what everybody's going to say.
You know, it's difficult. I was playing a little bit today with Nazori, in fact, and he was saying originally he was planning on running Ranger for the fresh start. Obviously, Ranger is an incredibly strong starting class. You have access to some really decent self-healing, the campfire again to regen yourself, so a lot of sustain that's built in, and the range damage really makes light work of PvE. However, after running the crystal ball and dagger combination there, he's been absolutely slaying his way through lobbies, taking 1v3s out. Now the question is that still going to work without level 20 and without that high-end gear? Who knows, really?
That's the tough part. So, I mean, obviously, everybody who's played the playtest is probably familiar with the fact that, your gear really makes a big difference, but so do your levels as you get those extra talents, especially those big mile markers where you unlock another talent point. It really does make a huge difference, especially for, some classes gain more direct output power than others. We were talking a little bit in the pregame show about the viability of solo classes. Things like Cleric don't gain a ton of passives that help them versus players in their skill tree. There are a couple that are very good, but some other classes have a lot of really good choices, like Rogue has some really fundamental, important choices in its leveling tree. So I think that's going to come into play as well. I think Fighter is going to be one of the more popular classes, as well as Barbarian, simply because of how well they do with no extra points. Their basic skills really can carry them far. But we all know that Fighter is very gear dependent as opposed to Barbarian.
Yeah.
Kind of just get the job done with the starter gear. So I'm thinking we're going to see a lot of Barb. I think it's going to be Barb for days, and maybe here and there we'll see a few Rangers, maybe a few Wizards. But man, you got to be real confident if you're going in with a level 1 Wizard against
I think so for sure. One person, again, speaking of Barbarians, something that the Jonah Vale has been running out is a lot of Barb here. He's been running out on fresh gear. One of the interesting or more interesting choices for Barbarian has been the fresh, newly added weapon, the Quarterstaff, which honestly has been terrifying because it's a lump of wood, and it shouldn't be as scary as it is. But I've got my head bonked in on a rogue, and as I just brought up a quick snip here of Jonah's stream whilst we're talking to see if I could demonstrate the point, and he's just bonked a rogue with a quarterstaff as we spoke. So like it's definitely a scary weapon, very fast, and I think the biggest thing with it, it's only minus 10 move speed. So you really don't lose a lot of weight, and it just allows you to run around and start. And also, I would say I really like the attack animations too, right? The overheads, from the side, it's a very enjoyable weapon to use.
It being a fast combo weapon like that, it having such a low movement penalty really lends itself to being a really powerful tool for all the classes that can use it. I think because of the change that Fighter got, where 10%. Their damage reduction from using non-class items was moved from 20% to 10% reduction. We could potentially see some more fighters running the quarterstaff as well, because it's just such a versatile weapon. Like you mentioned, it's so fast. It swings really fast. It's got big combos, big reach. It hits in a lot of different directions. Actually, as you were saying that, we see Jonah just trying to go in and bonk people with the quarterstaff, getting shot in the head. I'm wondering if he's preparing right now. By doing level 1 runs. Hopefully that's not an indicator of what we're going to see, but I expect it is.
I mean, it's one of those things. It is just so. I think it's really not a big investment. Quarterstaffs aren't incredibly expensive if you're buying them from the marketplace. Although sometimes they're selling a bit better, but they're just these very kind of, I don't know, underwhelming items. They don't look like much, but they just perform incredibly well.
Yeah, the one thing I am curious about, so Jay Fresh Barb, it does look like he's doing a little test run here, warming up for the tournament. This is a good idea. I hope other people are taking notes. Quarterstaff is also, in my experience, it's very common. I seem to see a lot of quarterstaffs, especially when you kill the skeleton mages, which I think everybody's kind of got the strategy for that pinned down now. I see that we've jumped over to Nazori here, who's doing a little pre-game trial here as well, trying to do what you were talking about there with the Rondell and the crystal ball, just going for the ignite kills, and it really does add a ton of damage. He could be wearing a white dagger right now. It's probably still going to hit really hard.
Well, that's it, because it's that ignite damage, right? But I think what does matter is the will. So how can he stack that will up early game? And again, what spell options is he going to have early game as well? What passive choices is he going to be able to go with without being level 20 right off the bat?
I think Wizard is probably the weakest class in terms of level 1. Like when it comes to your talent choices and how much power they bring to the table, the difference between a level 1 wizard and a level 15 wizard is tremendous. Whereas some other classes, it's not quite as obvious. Like we talked about before, the Barb has some really good choices, but its level 1 is super serviceable. Same for Fighter. I think Ranger is pretty good too. A lot of the talents it gets are just sort of quality of life. But when I think about the overall power of killing people at level 1, I think the only chance a Ranger has in basic starter gear at level 1 is like if they get a trap and somebody just sits there without disarming it for a second. It's going to be so hard.
That is one of those things that you can really just set up, isn't it? You know, you put down a trap in the right position if you've heard some footsteps and just wait and be patient. The problem can often be if you get a whole 3-man team, especially starter Ranger, because I did run it myself a little bit. I put a whole triple shot into a barbarian and he still didn't go down, and then he disarmed the trap and I was just sat there little bit panicked at the three-man team that was about to rush through. So it's one of those things, yeah, can be incredibly strong, but unless you get those upgrades, it certainly can feel a little bit underwhelming. Now, yeah, I guess we touched on it briefly before, but what are your thoughts on Cleric? Do you think we're going to see any Cleric solos in this tournament?
I think just for style points, there will probably be some people that try it. We were talking about this a little bit in the pregame lobby, and there's a little bit of a difference of opinion on where the power of solo Cleric lies. I'm in the camp that it is good, but very susceptible to certain comps. So we're going to talk a little bit soon here about the comps that we're expecting to see today. And one in particular, the buff ball, which I'm sure everybody's run into at this point, kind of can just run over Cleric, and there's really nothing they can do about it. But if you're facing off against a lower geared team that isn't quite set up to just run people down like that, Cleric is good in the sense that it's able to force 1v1s where you can set up protection, divine strike, bless, get fully buffed up, sit in a doorway, hit a judgment, smack somebody for 50 damage, and all of a sudden they're like, what? Well, I didn't know clerics could do damage. What is this? Is a cleric going to be the class that gets the most kills? There's no way. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it comes down to is that survivability, right? Because I mean, when you look at things like a wizard with that haste and invis, you know, they stand a pretty strong chance of being able to bank those points and get out. But then when you look at a cleric, like all the pre-buffs and being able to potentially one-shot an entire team or whatever and bust through like that, it can happen. But can that cleric then escape and bank those points afterwards? I think that's the difficult part. Drunken cleric is still incredibly strong. But you do have to buff up. You need to drink your ale. It's something Joan has been playing as well, I think, a little bit prior to the tournament. Oh, we have a slight technical difficulty has come up. 1 second, guys. We have upgraded. I didn't skimp out on the tournament, all right? Don't worry, we did upgrade, but unfortunately, it seems like Zoom's not playing nice with us. So if you hold on 1 minute, we'll get back in here. I will put you back on the class cards for now, so you can read through some of the classes. So we were just talking about Barbarian here. I think maybe we start off with the Barbarian, and maybe we can talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses available here.
I think last playtest, the most controversial topic was Wizard, and I think going into this playtest, it was still Wizard. But now as Wizard has received some changes, I would say overall nerfs, but also some quality of life improvements with meditation, Barbarian is now in the spotlight as the class that everybody is upset about. And it's kind of obvious to see why, because Barb starts with such a good set of skills. The axe is really powerful. It can two-shot things. They have two really powerful abilities that are on a short cooldown that give them a ton of movement speed, a ton of damage. They can ignore armor. They can take a PvE fear that lets them get out of really sticky situations. Barb is just really well-rounded, starting with the Francisca axes that also let them catch people and do a considerable amount of damage for a low-quality consumable. It's such a strong class. And it's hard to imagine how you can overcome that in a 1v1, but I'm sure if anybody in here has played the game enough, they're probably familiar with the swing speeds of axes and the movement speed of the Barb. It is abusable. Problem is when it comes to 3v3s, when the Barb gets all buffed up by a wizard and they're running you down with haste and invis and a Claris giving them a shields and all that stuff, it becomes a problem. In solos, on the other hand, I think Wizard is going to be a problem. Once these good Wizard players get their hands on a Rondell and a Crystal Ball, and we see that Ignite play coming in, and you even told me something I didn't even know about, which is that Wizards can use crossbows, which kind of blew my mind.
As we see right here, right now. Yeah, I mean, here we have with again, it's Naz here on the crossbow, using that Ignite on the dagger, then swapping over to the crossbow and dealing those flaming bolts. It can do a lot of work, and especially as an opener for a fight for a wizard. I mean, the reload speed's relatively low on this crossbow. Being able to open a fight with just headshotting with that inflamed bolt, it can just really turn a fight into your favor when you can then immediately swap to fireball, send a fireball through and a zap, and that can be somebody gone before you've even had to really push in to engage. So it is something that's scary. Again, will it really have an impact in a 0 to hero fresh start tournament? I don't know.
Up here. Look at this guy. He's posted up with the crossbow in the picture, and he's just staring you down. He's like, "I am a wizard. I have a crossbow."
I'm a wizard. It's a very strange. It's a very strange interaction, isn't it? Holding a crossbow to your head. I'm a wizard. He's
so intimidating looking. Look at him. He's just Menacing.
Oh.
Man. Yeah, I would be very scared if I turn the corner and I see somebody holding a flaming bolt. Just seeing the bolt on the front of the crossbow on fire, I'd give a moment to pause and just think to myself, I'm dead, aren't I? I can imagine that even just a body shot with like a green crossbow with the ignite would probably almost one-shot somebody.
Yeah.
Depending on their armor.
Interesting thing is, we tested this out earlier, but I do think the damage of that fire scales with your personal will and magical damage enhancements. So, for example, I was given that inflame skill today, and I did very low damage with the fire. So I think that it doesn't give you the caster's kind of bonuses for the inflame. It applies to yours. So perhaps if I had some bonus magical damage or additional magic damage on my build for that rogue, then maybe I would have done some more damage. But it doesn't seem to compare to a wizard with the amount of will that they have and the any bonus magical damage they have. It just does a hell of a lot of damage, and the rondel is a very fast attacking dagger. So obviously it just keeps applying that damage again and again and again, and it can be really, really terrifying to come across.
I think, honestly, the fact that there's so many little nuances like this in the game is what's going to make a solo tournament really interesting, because it's going to come down to game knowledge, like knowing the map really well in and out, knowing where shrines can spawn, strength shrines, protection shrines, speed shrines. Restoration shrines are going to be very important early on for classes that don't have the means to recover HP themselves. Knowing these little things, like the fact that I've literally never seen a crossbow wizard with ignite on before, but if some of these people have some other tricks up their sleeves, I mean, there's a lot of things that have been discovered over the course of this playtest, just from the last playtest. This is where I think people are going to start bringing up the secret tech, especially because they don't have a team to back them up. They can't fall back under the buff ball. They're going to have to pull out all the stops here. I'm really curious to see who's going to surprise us with some new strategy, some new unknown tech, some new weird wonky interaction.
It's always interesting to see what players manage to come up with. Obviously, like there's certain changes that are intentional from the developers, and there's certain changes that maybe aren't so much. But obviously balancing is a pretty fluid state, and things will always change in the game. And I'm sure what we have now in this playtest is not the same as what's going to happen for our next actual launch of the game. But what I can say is the developers have added a hell of a lot of content here in the last couple of weeks since the last one. I mean, the goblin caves, the cave troll. Have you had any interaction with the cave troll yet?
I have watched people fight it and decided I don't feel like dealing with that unless I feel like playing a ranger. I've seen people have switched to using a Pavis to deal with it since the last change they made, because rangers were kind of cheesing it and they didn't want people to do that. But like you said, the game is always in flux. There's always new things happening. There's always changes. I mean, just this playtest, we've gotten how many balance updates? They made the other day a change to where Wizard got its meditation faster, campfires lasted longer. They made, wow, look at how fast he melted.
Yeah,
that's a little sorry, I got a little distracted by the ridiculous kill speed. But yeah, I mean, campfires now last a little longer at all grades. Fighters second wind had its skill cost changed from a 7-slot skill to a 6-slot skill, which essentially just means that it recovers faster at a campfire. So this additional changes made it so that now fighters can recover their second wind in a single use of a white campfire, I believe. So
interesting.
All these little minute changes all add up to really affect the balance. So now fighter has a much better chance of sustaining through dungeons. We saw Orlanthi do that in the solos. He was able to go down to Inferno because of those changes. It's like every new patch that we get every couple days is constantly shifting things. And I think the weirdest thing is that we haven't seen any changes to Barb, but I feel like they're waiting because they're ready to just smack Barb with the hammer and enjoy it for right now.
Yeah, I mean, Barb obviously, I think it's the high health, right? It's the magic resist as well that they can tie on to. Barb can just kind of get to a point where they don't have to care about what you're trying to do to them. And yeah, if that's enhanced by a team, it is a terrifying thing to come across, really. One thing you touched on earlier as well was the meditate. It is crazy how much of a difference that's made to the usability of a wizard, and how many wizards even we've seen solo now Just with again how many spells you can regen, the speed in which you do it, people regenning and meditating mid combat to return some of those spells so that they can keep slinging them down range. It's been I think it feels a lot better to play wizard. Obviously it'll remain to be seen whether or not it's too strong or whether it's just right, but as you said, Roy, it's hard to measure how strong something is when we really have these other classes that are kind of far above where they are anyway, right? The second a barb gets nerfed, who knows what is then the most obvious overpowered thing.
Yeah, I mean, I have a buddy who started playing the game on this playtest. I wouldn't shut up about it since the last one where I got to play it for a couple days because I hopped on it late and got completely addicted. And I got him hooked on this game, and he started playing, and he was really wanted to play wizard. And I'm like, I don't know if wizard's a good choice for a first timer. You maybe want to pick something else. But he stuck with it for a while, and it was funny to watch the changes to wizard because it's like I'm watching him shoot like 4 fireballs to kill something. I'm like, man, this looks like it sucks. But then they get a little buff to the meditation. They get some spells that are improved a little bit. They're doing maybe a little more damage, or they get more charges, or they get them back faster. And the quality of life improvements, I think, have made the class more enjoyable to play, which is, in my opinion, very important, almost to the same degree as balance. Obviously, having a class that's completely broken and fun to play is not a good idea because then everybody plays it.
Yes.
It is fun breaking down doors, but the most interesting thing to me about this game is that each class has its own utility, its own little interesting things that I can do. They're all they have access to different weapons, different tools of the trade. It's just like you can make so many different comps and come up with so many different strategies. I've seen people run like triple rogue, obviously not tournament legal, but I've seen people run triple rogue and do some really dirty shenanigans and wipe out very geared players. There's so many cool interactions. I can't wait till they add more classes.
Have you perchance seen the triple naked rogue comp without weapons?
Oh, doing punching? Yes, I have.
Yes, where they all just suddenly pop out of invis, and it's
slap. There's like footprints on cobblestone behind you, and they're just punching the crap out of you from behind with the rupture. Yeah.
It is a terrifying thing to behold when all of a sudden, upon entering a room, you go, ooh, some nice chest to loot, and 3 naked men with purple glowing fists suddenly rush towards you. It is certainly something quite unsettling, and again, surprising amount of damage and ridiculous move speed as well when you're just taking off those things. It is.
Face in the dark. He just looks like he's up to no good. He's a little dastardly evildoer.
I'm looking forward to trying to see some more people with these skeleton skins as well. I have caught a few people during the various plays I said, especially this last one through, where you'll have somebody kind of standing strangely still in the corner of a room where there's other skeletons out of their aggro radius and just kind of standing there. So you enter a room and you think everything's fine, and you start clearing skeletons when all of a sudden one of them starts running at you a little suspiciously.
What's up with that skeleton that's just posted up in the corner like this? What's this guy doing? He's just out over there.
Why does this skeleton have a healing pot?
Yeah, I love the fact that they've added that stuff. I'm glad they added like the elf skin too, because now you don't have to look like an evil dastardly no-getter while you're playing the rogue. But I think today this tournament is really going to highlight a lot of the most interesting parts of Dark and Darker. People are really going to have to pull out their best strategies if they want to even get a single kill when they are level 1 with absolutely no gear, no access to trading. They just got to make do with what they've got. But we've seen some pretty crazy plays before. I wouldn't be surprised if we see somebody actually just pop off. I mean, who knows? Somebody's going to come out and make us all look silly. Like, hey, you guys just suck. I just win 1v3s all the time.
I think it's really that RNG that happens with it. I mean, one person could easily just find a 3v3 that's going on between 2 separate groups of players, and then just take down that last person, and all of a sudden have 6 bodies to loot and some major upgrades, right? So obviously there is a lot of kind of randomness involved in how and where and when you get geared up in this. But I think that's part of the enjoyment of Dark and Darker in its essence anyway, really, is that no match really is the same as the other, with how you interact with the mobs and the other players inside changing just a little bit every single time.
Yeah, having the unique interactions every time is definitely what keeps the game fresh. And of course, like we said a few times already, they've been balancing the game, adding new content. The Goblin Caves were entirely new this time around. People are still learning things, little tricks about that map, even though it's super small. It's only the sky's the limit, really. They've talked about adding the forest, which is actually supposed to be a level above the crypt, which will house even more players. And you're going to be starting with, I would guess, like 30 players in a huge map. It's going to be chaos, man. Every one of these games is going to play out so different, and I'm curious to see what the game's going to look like when we have 3 zones to go through. When you're getting down to the Lich after you've already gone through 20 minutes of fighting and looting and used all your resources, is anybody going to be able to deal with them on launch? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things you mentioned about the 3 levels. So again, for some of you that may not know yet, that maybe have just jumped into Dark and Darker for this first time on this playtest, but we start here, the castle here that we're in right now, it is the 2nd layer, and you can descend upon, you know, the 3rd level there, which is obviously the hellish environment that's a little bit harder to deal with and has that kind of scary end boss to deal with, and that's level 3. But yeah, the level 1 was the forest there that Odin here was talking about. That's meant to be your starter area, somewhere you go initially to get geared up before you approach you know, the rest of the dungeons and its dangers. Now the Goblin Cave is something entirely different. The Goblin Cave is an experimental feature, which they've said, I believe, that they're still not sure if they're committing to or not. But it was a way to enable a kind of a solo queue in the game, and obviously that's where we have the goblins and the cave trolls and everything else within that kind of setting, right? I don't know exactly how I feel about it. I think I really enjoy the having to go in with a group of 3 and, you know, dealing with the different challenges of fighting other groups. Yeah, I think it's more in essence of this kind of it's that D&D kind of gameplay, right? You're going in with a party, and as you said earlier, each of you having a kind of function to fulfill. And I think when you start going into solo queues, then that kind of takes away from that. And I also think that does represent, as we've seen in many other games, some balancing concerns where all of a sudden one thing's a little too strong in solo queues, so people complain about it, and then maybe some balance that it has there affects how it plays in the group dungeons, right? And maybe that's, you know, not particularly fair, or maybe it's just a headache for the devs to do separate scaling on what different classes do, and it can get very complicated. I think I do enjoy the 3-man party stuff. I think I'd rather see us stick to that, but I understand, as someone who plays solo a lot myself, why people would want an environment where they can just go in and feel competitive playing alone without having to you know, deal with.
I mean, I'm in the same camp. I think the solo experience in the 3v3 dungeon is really the purest form of the game, and I enjoy it a lot. But I'm also not a my way only kind of guy, and I totally respect the fact that people want different things. And I like the fact that the devs are willing to take some risks and try new things with the game, knowing that, you know, they may not be received very well, or that they just may not have, they kind of flubbed, or they may have just failed personally. Maybe the design concept was good, but they didn't execute it properly. It's cool to see that they're willing to try new things. And although I personally am not a huge fan of the solos, I'm glad it's in the game because it gives people an opportunity to learn at their own pace. It maybe feels a little more fair to them, even if it's technically probably harder for a solo to start in that dungeon, just because they're going to have less time to interact with things before they're getting rushed down by mobs and players. But yeah, I mean, look, they're going to refine it. They're going to add new things. They're going to tweak it. They said themselves that this is experimental. Who knows if it'll stay in the game? Maybe they'll decide it's better for the health of the game that everybody has to play in the same zone, and no solos for you, but we shall see. Time will tell.
That's it. I mean, I think right now, at the very least, during the playtest periods, giving people a chance to get into Dark and Darker and just enjoy the game, I think has been something that's been very nice, right? Because there has been a lot of people, I think, that struggled to play before, and upon hearing about solo queues came back to play, and then maybe got a little more invested and then went to playing with groups afterwards. So it's definitely a good step ladder, at least, to enter people into the game in a more meaningful way.
Yeah, that's why I like the concept of having this solo queue, or just at least trying these things, because you're giving people the opportunity to experience the game in a way that they're asking for. And maybe most people find that they don't actually like it. They're like, oh, you know what? I think actually I like solo better. And personally, I've seen most players that I've talked to say the same thing. They're like, the solo dungeon's cool, but I'd rather I'd rather survive the 3v1s, maybe get a couple kills, maybe get the better loot from being in that big dungeon, maybe go down to Inferno. I just think this is cooler. Speaking of which, I'm curious to see if today since we've gone on a little bit of a tangent here, but I'm curious to see today if any players in this solo tourney will go down to Inferno. We saw Orlanthi do it yesterday in the Rest XP tourney. Does it make a lot of sense to go down there if you have the ability to do so when the XP doesn't seem to be worth it? From what we saw, you only got level 2 on a single run despite killing a lot of monsters and escaping all the way at the very end. The XP is really slow, something that they maybe need to consider upping, but the loot is really good. How do we offset that? Is it worth spending the time to get crazy good gear and then potentially losing it immediately by spawning next to a team of 3? Or is it better to rush through the dungeons to get levels? There's so many different ways to approach this.
It is difficult because, I mean, I think the second level really, it's just such a strong gamble, because if you go down there, it's only going to be in search of loot. Maybe you find another group of players there, you know, maybe you can have a fight, but the risk involved, you know, maybe if somebody doesn't have an incredible match in terms of kills, they don't get a lot of kills on D2, so they decide to go down to D3. Maybe they'll find a party there, or they'll find some loot, but I just can't see any one of our contenders here today having a bunch of kills, then risking going down to D2 and not banking any of them because they died to a devil dog, right? It's going to be incredibly risky to go for that. Now, running through maps quickly, again, like, yeah, you could maybe try and speedrun it a little bit, just run. If you hear footsteps, go for a kill, go and bank. Try and get some loot and open some chests, and you know, maybe fight a few mobs to get some experience there. But I really don't know what the players. I think we're definitely going to have some players that are just hunting the whole time.
Honestly, I think
did you call my name?
Honestly,
dungeon delving hunter.
Yeah, we were talking about the rats. Yes.
Hello, fam.
Welcome.
Hello,
Strange.
somebody.
It's good to see you. We're looking forward to watching you play in the tournament. How's the preparations going? Are you ready?
Wait, I haven't been preparing too much, but I've been watching you all, and I've been watching my competitors as you watch them practice. And I just think that everyone else needs to practice, and I'm already ready. You know what I mean? Like, I can just roll in here, fresh out of bed, you know, sleepy in my eyes, and still win this tournament.
You know, in the Q&A, we heard that you had a lot of monikers like the Dr. Divinity and stuff. Should we add another title on there, the King of the Rat Strat?
I mean, you've got rats in the rafters and jump tech on the ladders, but I got orders from God. And I'm here to win this tournament. I'm playing the craziest build known to man, and I'm running naked. I'm going to win naked.
So why don't you talk us through that a little bit? If you're running naked, what's your plan entail? Just run naked and hope to intimidate people with your physical appearance, or
your feet, slapping the feet on the cobblestone?
I mean, I look like an elite skeleton, so I'm gonna catch a couple of people off guard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I see a lot of people in chat asking about trading. I just want to make sure and verify that there's no trading allowed. This is solo only. You cannot buy your trade guild certificate. You can only buy from merchants and find what you use what you find. But as far as strategy goes, I've got a brand new build called the Smoke Tooth Rogue. I'm unkillable, so my entire idea behind this tournament is that I need to play like it's permadeath, because it's going to be really hard for people to get up and out of that first run, right? That's going to be the hardest thing for anyone to do, because when you don't have any heals and the 3 men's are running you down, it's going to be rough. So I got the Smoke Tooth, running Smoke Bomb and Caltrops, and they're never getting to me. No one can chase me, because I'm like an octopus.
Caltrops.
Yeah, I'm like a little octopus. When I get scared, I drop my ink, and I vamoose.
Smoke Bomb Caltrops. That's an interesting one. No stealth. I was actually thinking earlier about what the viability of a no stealth rogue would be like. So that's really interesting to hear. We're definitely going to be watching some of your gameplay probably here at the start of the tournament, because I want to see how this works out. And I'm curious if any of the other players have a similar strategy. Not maybe necessarily the Squid Ink rogue over here, but maybe some unorthodox setup that they've tested out that they haven't shown on stream. That's just going to do a ton of work without using the meta builds.
I'm also curious how clerics will do. I heard you guys talking about it, but my personal experience this wipe has been that every class in the game has a sprint of some sort or a haste, and the cleric, if they're coming towards you, you're kind of just dead in the water. You're like a surfer with their leg bit off and the sharks are circling.
It's definitely a class that needs prep time. If you get run up on and you don't have time to pre-buff, you just lose. I 100% agree there. If you do have time to buff and maybe use the environment to your advantage, I think Cleric is quite strong in the 1v1s. But it's like you said, they're slow, they don't have great interaction speed, and other classes just have the ability to get on top of them the second they see them. So I think a Cleric has to play basically perfect in order to win fights, but I do think it's possible. I don't think there's going to be a Cleric winning this tournament. I personally would love to see a Rat Rogue win this tournament, because I think that would be almost poetic after all the complaining all the other classes have gotten, if a Rogue is the one that has the biggest come up and just starts killing people from stealth. Nomad, you think you could do it? Play a Rogue from level 1 to 20 and just get a few kills, never die?
So, I mean, here's one of the big things with the Rogue. I am incredibly guilty of overcommitting every single time I'm on Rogue. I'll get 1 kill and then I'll overcommit and I'll die. I'll see a group of 3 and I'll see no reason not to go in and try and kill every single one of them, which is not the best thing to do when you're on a very squishy... yeah. So, but what Rogue does excel at really is getting in there, dealing some damage and getting out of there. Now, if you can get in there with a basic Rogue, just having the Rupture on for that base, again, that's just additional damage that you get regardless of what dagger you have on, right? If you have the poisoned weapons on, it's just additional magic damage you're getting, again, regardless of what dagger you have. If you can get in there, stack up the poison a little bit with that Rupture as well, whilst someone's engaged in PvE, I think it's quite easy for you to be able to snake a kill out and then just run. If this tournament is about kills, then it's not so important to be able to go over there and try and kill the other 2 and loot. Just killing that one player oblivious whilst they're engaged in some of the dungeon mobs around here, that could be a seriously good way to contend with the tournament here. Not trying to fight everybody, but just take that 1 kill and get out, right, each time. Exactly.
You have to escape if you want your points. I mean, Strange, what do you think? Do you think a Rogue or a Barb has a better chance of sneaking up on someone, engaged in PvE, and getting that kill and then getting out? I think a Barb's really good at getting the kill. I don't know if they're as good as at getting out, though.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times the Barbs will use their movement speed shout to close the distance.
Right.
Whereas the Rogue is sort of just always fast, and so you can kind of get in and out a lot quicker. I think the Rogue has a better chance to survive, but the Barb has a better chance to just outright win. And like we've seen with my Carnage Cannibal Barbarian build, you take that perk that gives you 12% of your health back when you get a kill, you can kind of just go toe-to-toe, even with a 3-man. And I don't think there's really any other class in the game that can go toe-to-toe. But I got to say, Wizards, when you get them a little bit of gear and you put a book in their hand, they can sort of 1v3 Wilden.
I think
Fireballs
fighters,
and zaps.
I think fighters can too, but it requires you to play basically perfect with like a longsword, getting parries and stuff. I think it's very situational, and we've talked a bit about this before on the stream, that we know that fighters are very, very gear dependent, especially when they're using gear that doesn't belong to their class. Mentioned earlier that the nerf to their damage went from 20% to 10%. So some of the other classes' items are a little more viable for fighter now, but I think the biggest change is the spell recovery for getting the campfire. Fighter might be a little bit more viable now, being able to use adrenaline rush more frequently. If they can get their hands on campfires, they might be able to get a cheeky sprint up, get a kill, use a second wind to escape with a little bit of healing, throw on some pots while they're backing off. They certainly have the tools to do some crazy things, but innately, I do think that Barb, Wizard, Rogue are probably the 3 strongest classes in this solo tournament. Nomad?
Yeah, and that's the thing with it obviously being this solo tournament. I think that's the context we have to be aware of here. Is it's a fresh start tournament. These are classes that have to go from the very beginning here and not have a team. So we're not saying obviously to everybody here watching the show today that these are just the strongest classes, but within the context of this tournament, you know, just a fresh start character going from the beginning, not having your teammates with you, that's a very different kind of meta we're dealing with here. Rogue has incredible ability at being able to survive, really, and pass through maps, and, you know, being able to potentially get a kill and get out. Barb has an unprecedented ability to be able to kill and rack up those kill numbers, but again, can they escape? And then, yeah, I think Wizard is incredibly strong right now. Similar reasons, because they do have a really good ability to kill, especially with being able to do it from range. But they have that haste and invis if they can get to unlocking all the shoulder stuff to help facilitate
Power
it.
of running away.
The power, that's it.
Away.
The power of just leaving people in the dust behind you as you scamper off into the rest of the dungeon. So we'll see. Again, I do think that's probably the right call. I would say definitely Rogue, Wizard, and Barb are our best contenders here. But again, we have those outliers. We have those people that have their classes and stick with them. You know, we have the Drunken Cleric. We have the Rangers as well, bringing out the longbows and stuff and just being able to drop people down. Will any of these, you know, be in the tournament? Will they be able to win? I don't know. I'd like to be pleasantly surprised, to be honest.
I think the most surprising thing to me would be a Ranger winning this tournament. I think although people complain, like they are the easy class to play, and people do complain about Ranger being OP when they're new to the game. I think as the game goes on, we know that Ranger is really strong when it's in a team, but by itself, it has a lot of weaknesses, and they're very easy to exploit, especially with the faster classes that are able to get on top of them. What I think would be the most surprising thing is if we saw a Spear Ranger take the whole thing. It's not. That's like if we have to place bets right now, what the least likely class to win the game or win this entire tournament, I would say Spear Ranger.
So here's how the Spear Ranger does it, right? Lots of traps, somehow lucking out on finding a hell of a lot of oil lanterns, and then they put the trap down, they wait for someone to spring it, they toss an oil lantern on them and then safely spike them in the head from a distance, and then maybe they can pick up enough to do something that way. But yeah, I would be surprised as well if a Ranger did anything here. Fighter, as you said, quite gear dependent, so in a 0 to hero fresh start tournament, I don't know if I necessarily see it. But again, there's possibilities. When classes are going to be gear dependent, all it takes is for them to get that gear, and that can happen so easily with just one lucky pickup, right?
Strange. I don't know if you're still here, if you're getting ready to head off. What are your bets? And of course, we already know you have confidence in your strategy, so I won't even ask you that. But who else do you have your eyes on? Who are your toughest opponents, do you think, in this tournament?
Class-wise or content creator-wise? Because like I always
Let's
say,
go both.
I think
Let's
all
go both.
classes are really viable except for Cleric in this kind of format. And so I've seen a lot of people swap classes as well. We've kind of seen some meta shifts. And so I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be playing Wizards sort of like last tournament, like Katie Rue and Nizori. I thought Jonah Vale would play one, but I've seen that a lot of them have seen the light, and the Barbarian is just 1vx capable. So I'm pretty sure Barb has the best chance, and to be honest, I really thought about playing one, especially because we did the permadeath level 1 to 20 no death run, and that is available on YouTube. But we made it to 20 without dying, and so that made me think that Barbarian really has the best capability, because you throw the Francisca axes, right, the Francisquis, out of nowhere, and they're chopping skulls and putting a slow on your enemies to give you time to catch them with the felling axe or the bardiche. And so I would definitely say my number one is probably going to be Barb to win favorability wise, and number 2 would be Wizard, because about an hour in, if those classes haven't died, they are going to be stacked full of loot. And I hate to give my strats away, but for everyone who's participating, my idea is that you either goblin gamble or you go to the weaponsmith. You need a blue or purple weapon in your hand as soon as possible, and you're going to start picking up kills really quick.
Yeah,
So,
I think getting
Barb
out of the
with the
dungeon
web.
getting out of the dungeon with like 200 gold and sellables is totally reasonable for a level 1 if you play it smart. And you could just go hit up one of the weaponsmiths or the alchemist and pick up a blue staff or an axe for 130-ish gold, and you're set to go. You spend the rest of it on supplies and go right back in. I do think that's going to be what we're going to see a majority of players go for if they can survive that. We've been watching. We're going to be starting the tournament in just a few minutes here. Everybody's getting ready to make their classes. But as we've been talking this whole time, we have been watching some of the content creators do their little practice runs, and they have not been having a good time. Players are getting quicker and quicker at improving in this game, and they're getting better and better at dealing with the rats. I am very excited to see who is going to take this, because it's going to be very hard.
And where it's going to go from here, because people are already getting better and better. And next wipe, you know, this is theoretical because we don't know when the next wipe will be, if there will be one between now and early access. But the devs have stated that early access is on the way in late April, early May, and they've guaranteed that we're going to have the B1 forest map and the fundamentals of questing. So just for me, the most exciting part about the game in future tournaments is the idea that people will be dropping in forest with 32 players, going Forgotten Castle with 18, and then dropping down to Inferno with 9 or 12. That's like a 30-minute run to get down to fight bosses and get gear. So I think I heard you guys talking about it, but I kind of want to go all the way down to Inferno to try to stack up some gear early. But like you said, it's a big risk. I was wiped last night in Uniques by the Centaur. Just caught us off guard, and he cleaved all three of us. And from there, you're slowed, and mosquitoes and man bats are all over you. So I'd be curious to see how many players actually drop down to Inferno this tournament. But with that, I have to get ready. So I will see you all on the other side.
All right.
Have
Good
a
luck,
great
Strange.
tournament.
We will see you soon.
Look out for me and the content pings because I'm coming for that rank 1 spot. I'm your back-to-back 3-time Doctor of Divinity.
All right. And just before we jump into this here, let's see if Arcane is around to give us some final words. Arcane, are you around? I know you've been busy with the showrunner stuff. We just wanted to get your opinions on things before we jump straight into the streams.
Yeah, I'm around, and I've got most of the streams set up here, I think. I am really curious, like you guys, to see how many folks are going to run Cleric. I was doing a little homework. I checked the registration list, and I could only find one confirmed player that is going to run a Cleric. So
One. I've heard of two, I believe, in
We all need the
Twitch chat.
brotherhood.
I think we had a couple of people that were saying that they were going to come along as in fact clerics, and that their favorite streamer was there. So
okay. But yeah, I'm geeked. I'm really excited, just like you guys are, to see how things play out. It was interesting to listen to Josh's strategy, especially for his rogue play, which I wasn't expecting from him. Going with the caltrops and the smoke, that is going to be fun to watch.
you know, I
Yeah,
tried to do
I'm
that
ready.
earlier solo. I really don't know how useful it is. I mean, it depends, right? If you can get the caltrops and the smoke down, but it is worth noting that those caltrops do slow you down as well. So
Right.
Well, Arcane, before we go and jump into the tournament here, if you have to play in this tournament, what are you playing?
I'm playing Wizard. Now, I think that the perks that Wizards have access to are some of the most diverse out there. I've talked to a few people that like running one of the two shield perks. So you've got the ice shield and then the reactive shield.
Yep.
There are much more offensive options, obviously, but I think the Wizard definitely has the most versatility in build style, and the evasiveness, obviously, with invis and haste, and just decent overall capability at both short and long range. I mean, you can face check someone with a magic missile. You can obviously use fireball from long range. Zap, I think, is highly underrated, although more and more people are starting to figure out that it's a good spell. In the tournament yesterday that Crosscurrent did, I really tried to make good use of that spell, not only with PvE, like it's handy for killing spiders if you're caught in a pinch, right? Stuck up against a wall if they trap you.
Yep.
But it's really handy in PvP fights as well, especially if you've got a tank running in the front row and you're scared to fireball, you don't want a magic missile. Zap is one of those spells that is surgical enough that you can get in and still be useful in a team setting. But obviously today we're talking solo. I'm curious to see how many people go with Zap in a solo context.
I think Lightning Strike is going to be a very powerful tool
Really?
as a solo wizard. Either that or Chain Lightning if they want to really go for the quick PvE clears. Maybe hit up Pyramid, blast all the bat skulls down really quickly. Look for a few areas where they know they can quickly clear a lot of mobs. Chain Lightning, Lightning Strike, Arcane Missiles. I think those are going to be very strong. But of course, as we mentioned earlier, the Invis, Haste, Ignite is so powerful, and that takes up half of
Absolutely.
your spell slots. It's hard to figure out what you're going to pick as those last three when you have to deal with players.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be fun to watch. Hopefully, Jay is going to make it. I know Jay was on the list of registered players. I know we're going to see a lot of Wizards out there. So that's going to be one of my highlights for today for sure.
All right, well, it looks like we are ready to jump into the tournament. It now has officially begun. Make sure you guys check the announcement on the Discord if you're participating in the tournament. Make sure that you're in your channels, your streamers are broadcasting so that we can make sure that everybody's following the rules and we can keep track of the kills. But we're going to jump in and watch So Bad Strange, as we mentioned before. I'm really excited to see if the little scared squid is going to get away with any loot and any kills here. He said he's going in full naked, not even a dagger. And to be honest, I think the fists actually do more damage than the starter dagger, which I don't know. Maybe that's something they need to look into, but we shall see.
Probably. So he was not lying. He has got just smoke bomb and the caltrops, and absolutely no weapon whatsoever. Does have those 3 throwing stars. Having a bit of trouble here with a bat already. Trying to box it out, but taking a little bit of opening damage. Now this is where I imagine not having a weapon is gonna cause this to suffer a little bit, right? Because as we can see, something that usually goes down in maybe 1 or 2 hits with a dagger, 2 to 3 with a starting dagger, has almost completely killed him. So I don't know how this is gonna play out so much. I think you're really gonna have to avoid that PvE and just
I
try
would
and hard
almost,
engage that PvP.
if I was him, I would almost just leave this lobby and just start again. Taking that much damage is going to put you pretty far behind. There is usually a Shrine of Restoration in Foursquare, so it looks like he's looking for that right now. But he has to be careful not to get picked off by spiders or a trap, and it's possible that the shrine is not there. It is. Okay, that's the big play there. So that's actually going to save him a lot of time. Good on him to make sure he's looking around for that, but he has to be careful because these spiders, since he's naked, a single hit from one of these spiders could kill him. And getting one of your first runs ended that quickly, although it's really not that bad, is going to feel kind of bad. But then again, we're watching it so bad, and we know he loves his content, and dying is content. He is going to get the heal from the shrine here, so he's going to get back on his feet. He picked up a couple extra throwing daggers from those bats. Smart on him to not use the bandages. He's going to save that for a little later. And now he's got to deal with this mummy, or this zombie rather, that's coming up to drop the poison gas on him. Decides it's better that he doesn't fight that. Totally agree. When you're naked like that, it's not worth the time to kill that thing.
Okay, so he did spot a team of 3 in here to begin with as
Give
well.
us just a moment, folks. We're sorting through a little stream difficulty here. We just need to get some restreams up because we've been having problems with Zoom. Nomad, let me know when you're able to get that stream into Discord.
We should be good. Oh.
Once again, squaring off against the bat. This time managing to pick it off before he takes any damage. Almost falling all the way down there and falling straight into a trap. But he's spotted some players taking the fight this early without rupture, going for the throwing daggers. This player is completely oblivious. It doesn't hear him behind him. Nice shots with the daggers there, hitting one in the head and one in the chest. He has to be so careful here, though, because if he gets hit by a single hit from that axe, it could be lights out for him. Gonna dodge down here, dropping caltrops on his way out. Gonna use these traps to his advantage, force the players to chase him around it. Using the parkour over the lanterns to escape and try to isolate to the 1v1. We saw Firebomb probably drop by the barb as he wanted to back off to get some heals. As Strange has landed some pretty nice hits here, doing a lot of damage. The Squid Ink is coming out, but can he navigate through without stepping on traps of his own? He has taken a little bit of damage here, and the fighter's still on top of him. This is tough. Looks like he's dropped aggro for just a moment here. Still using... Oh, the zombie's going to come to his aid. The fighter has no idea. He's giving him the slip once again. He's still dodging these shots. One shot from the Falcon is going to come up over the top and hit him in the head. It looks like they're probably relatively even on health right now. I'm not sure what perk he's running. If he doesn't have poison, he probably isn't going to be able to finish the kill by just running and gunning. But who knows? He's looking for the straight up 1v1 and it doesn't go his way. So unfortunate to see it go that way.
That is a big shame. But see, straight back out and straight back into the next lobby again, right? Like there was no delay on that whatsoever. Jumped out and jumped straight back in. I think especially if you're on these starter runs and it really doesn't go your way to begin with, if you are in literally just your starter gear, it might just be better for you just to go run it down mid into a couple of mobs or a spike trap and just reset your character the fast way to get back into the lobby again.
Yeah, like I said, I think, you know, he did have he had the wherewithal, the awareness of noticing that where he was on the map, he could get the Foursquare, which usually has a shrine. It's important to note that it's actually not guaranteed to always be there. I've seen it not there once or twice, almost every time I've ever been there. I was actually very surprised by it once because I was like, oh, there's a shrine in Foursquare. I'll just go over there and heal up. I'm good. And the shrine wasn't there. And I was like, I didn't know that couldn't be there. But yeah, getting the heal, keeping him in the game. I think he wanted to hold on to the couple items he picked up, but ultimately, the real reason I think he might have been staying around there was that there is typically a golden chest at the top of that tower. And if he's running the lockpick as his first talent, which I believe he is, if he can get the lockpick on that chest and pick up an early purple, if it's like a rapier or something, that just basically sets him up for success for the entire run, as long as he doesn't get himself in any sticky situations that he can't get out of.
It looks like we've got Tiger Rush here, who's potentially awaiting a bit of an ambush going on. We saw a fireball come past the door. We do have an invis now. Gonna be waiting around. Now, again, the invising can sometimes be a little bit risky. If you hear a door being opened, it can be great to invis, but this is a relatively long cooldown. We're almost getting to that half duration, and we see a sneaky little rogue
Oh no.
coming around the corner, cautiously scouting with absolutely no idea that Tigerus is here. Now, it looks like this rogue he's facing might be a little bit better geared. Now, will the Tigerus die to poison?
Him, though.
This is one of the things we see time and time again from rogue 1v1s is both end up dying because they keep driving blows into each other. One of them dies and then the other one just goes down to poison. I've had this happen to me so many times myself playing rogue, and it is devastating.
Oh my goodness, you hate to see it. Yeah, that's painful. Hey, Nomad, when you get a chance, if you can change, so you have it set up to stream just the window. If you actually click the there's the pop out there to stream the whole thing, it'll include the audio because right now it's muted for me.
Oh, I have the streams muted as well.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, yeah, that's okay. I got you. You probably want to pull. I don't know if you have ambient music, but that's fine.
We've got ambient music.
We're good. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I think it's pretty interesting. We may want to unmute when we get into fights here, just so we can sort of hear what the players are hearing. But I think in the downtime, it's probably better if we keep it this way, just in case people are playing music or anything like that. We want to play it safe.
Exactly.
You know how Twitch is about their DMCAs. But in any case, we've already seen quite a few deaths here. Let's see. Tavern Master's Wife is the name that Jonah Vale chose for his class. I don't see any kills from him on the kill feed, but we see a lot of TTVers up on the kill feed there constantly in all these lobbies. Jonah's taking some damage here. He's got a little bit of loot. He has the option to extract. It looks like he's going to set up the portal. Probably not going to take it right away. But this is still 4 minutes left, 4.5 minutes left on the zone. He's got tons of time to loot up. He sees some dead players, and this might be really good for him if he can loot these players. If they had any gear, it looks like they're wearing Gamison. Yeah, that's perfect. Early pickup, very, very important there. It looks like he is playing the Barb, like you mentioned before, with the quarterstaff. That's going to help him run players down a little better early on. So maybe if he's picked up a good quality quarterstaff, this could be a good start for him with the pendants.
And honestly, those invis potions are a pretty big pickup as well at the current time. Because again, you get that engage off, you go and you kill somebody, you run away to reset, you drink that invis.
Speaking of running away.
Safe and sound out, and I don't know if he banked any kills there, but I guess we'll soon find out. But yeah, being able to reset after you've killed one person on Barb and invis pot up, I've seen many times, there's been a few times watching Jonah when he's killed one person, the team has run straight past him and he's come right out of that invis pop and then clocked the one behind on the back of the head and killed them too. It can be a really devastating tool. Like an invis barbarian is a terrifying thing to suddenly have pop up on you out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If somebody with a giant axe is about to chop your head off and they just literally popped up 2 feet away from you, you're in for a bad time. I do think this was a good strategy to back out. I want to say it looks like Jonah got level 2 from that run, which is really, really surprising. He must have had a really good loot run. It looked like he was over in Crypt, and there's about like 20 coffins to loot there. And every little action that you take when you're in a dungeon gives you some XP. Okay, no, he is still level 1. I was going to be very, very surprised if he hit level 2 from the first run. These first runs, guys, this is the first part of any character, is the hardest and longest part of leveling. You actually will level exponentially faster as you level, unlock more talents, and you become better at killing monsters. It just becomes easier as you increase your power. So therefore, you're able to stay for longer, fight more things, loot more things. Every action that you take in a dungeon counts towards giving you some kind of XP. And you do retain some of it if you die, but you gain way more XP if you extract. So a lot of players are going to look to get as much done as they can in these circles. As we saw there, though, Jonah setting up the portal, very smart, give himself an exit, sees a player, decides he doesn't want to take the risk, and just gets out.
Yeah, it is interesting. I just flashed through a bunch of the different streamers, so we've pulled Naz back up here again. Almost everybody that we had up was in the lobby, so I do think that we are having a lot of deaths on this one. Like we said, a 0-0 tournament was going to be very hard. And I think we're seeing a lot more zeros than heroes right now. But again, like it just takes that one item, that one really good raid to start turning that around and really snowball you forward in the whole tournament here. And it's 2 hours. That's quite a long time. To be able to get some of your equipment here. Naz looking elated there that he's escaped.
Yeah, the relief on his face. Exactly what you said. It's like players have played enough of this game, these content creators, these streamers, they should know that by this point they should know the map pretty much in and out. They should be able to tell where they've spawned and know what their class's strengths are, know what the monster spawns look like, because the monster spawns are consistent. They are the same spot every single time. Although some chest locations can change, most of them are consistent, but like breakables, all that stuff is all in the same place. It's just the items that are on the ground that change. So if you know for a fact that your class is going to have a really bad time with a room near you, do you bother going in there and deal with it? No. If you're a smart player, you're going to go, okay, I know of a better place nearby that I can go to loot that's a little more suitable for my setup. And I think that's really what's going to make the difference for a lot of these players is being really smart about what rooms they engage with early on so that they can make the most amount of money in the fewest runs and get out to get that strong equipment from the merchants as quickly as possible. Seeing blue armor for merchants is a lot rarer than seeing blue weapons, but a single piece of blue armor can also be really, really powerful.
Hey, if I can jump in real quick, guys. Hansel is having a great run. He's banked multiple. Sorry, he hasn't banked them yet. He has had multiple player kills. He's at very low health.
Oh my goodness.
Attempting to get out. Might be a good one to follow here.
Okay,
Love to hear it. Let's see if we can hop over.
Pull it up. Did you send me the make sure you send me the links for these as you pull them up, and I can just grab them open real quick.
Yep, throwing it in the chat right now.
I've got cat aggro right now, guys. I'm just trying to. He sees
said
the
no
tassels.
cats in the tavern.
He said he saw the tassels from the frock, and he's like, "Oh, it's playtime, right?" It looks like somebody in chat is saying that I'm quite a bit louder than you, so you may need to turn yourself
I
up.
think that was when I was adding the.
Oh, gotcha.
I was trying to add the background music in here. It added a second audio source for some reason, and may have hyperamped you there, but that's fine. I don't think anyone's gonna get tired of that esports casting voice anytime soon. Okay, so we got Hansel here. Let's try and bring this guy up. Okay, here we go.
Look at that, 3 kills in the lobby already. We can see it on the feed. One of the nice things about these normal lobbies is that the kill feed is still there. So Hansel picking up 3 in a very early run. Looks like he's got an arming sword and a short sword in his offhand as he is playing fighter. He must be running the dual wield talent. That's a big play to take this that talent this early on.
That is very interesting.
Wind.
That was definitely one thing we were talking about before. It seems that's one of the places where I feel like a lot of rogues are a little frustrated with their class is the sense that there's no point in running 2 daggers because it just slows you down. Other than having the variance in attack animations, which can be nice for some outplay potential, unlike the fighters that actually have that specific perk in place there to give them some benefit for running a secondary weapon. And then obviously, like, if you're ever fighting an opponent with a shield and you know what it's like when somebody's turtling up behind a shield to block you, having 2 separate weapons with 2 different attack animations can really help you push down some damage to someone who's just really trying to turtle behind that shield.
Now, I do think there is some... yeah, this is great for him. He's going to get out with 3.3 kills this early on. That's going to put him in a very comfortable lead. Of course, we already know, don't get cocky with it. But he's looking really comfortable. He's got some Templar armor there. He's looking pretty clean. 3 kills early on. I wanted to mention, I think, now I unfortunately have not been able to confirm it myself, but I've heard that for rogue and for fighter, dual wielding innately gives a small attack bonus. And you do have the Castellan dagger offhand, which gives you a swipe rather than a stab. So there is some variance with the fighting there. But I think the most common thing that I've seen players run, for rogue at least, is rapier with a stiletto. So the stiletto has those really fast stab animations that are great for headshots because of where they aim. And the rapier gives you that really good long range fast attack speed that lets you kind of control the pace of the fight. But like you mentioned, the fighter gets these really specific dual wield bonuses that makes it feel a little bit more consistent. And if you haven't played a dual wield fighter, I definitely suggest that you do, because there's so many different weapon combinations that you can use for dual wield fighter. And using those talents that buff dual wield makes dual wield fighter feel really, really, really strong, to the point where I think a dual wield fighter activating second wind with a pre-pot can just run straight up to a barbarian and just win the 1v1 as long as they don't get headshot.
I'm trying to see. It looks like we do have Sobad chasing somebody down right now on the naked fist rogue. He was running into there, chasing somebody off, but I think he's just turned around to run back out again. And this is the second time we've come to witness Sobad here. I will say Sobad is very good with this parkour, instantly just hopping up and down out of every nook and cranny available on the map.
He definitely specializes with the movement. He's really mastered that. He's one of the people that was the first to talk about like the rats in the rafters, using the ladders to get up on the spots, showing some abusable positions in the darkness with torches that you can turn off and get on top of the lips of doorways and the thresholds and stuff. We actually see up in the kill feed here that he managed to get himself a kill. It
Mm.
doesn't show what he killed the player with, so it might have either been the poison, the caltrops, or his fists, because I don't think fists show up as a kill weapon in the kill feed. He is, in fact, running that. Oh, that was really close. He almost just screwed himself there, getting a little greedy. The shots from the archer breaking open the door along with the wizard right behind, and he's got himself in another really precarious position. If he goes down and through here, there is a shrine on the other side of the door, but there's traps, and it's really dangerous to run through here. So it's going to be a matter of whether or not somebody's chasing him. If he can get this campfire down, then I think he'll be all right. He does still have the caltrops and the smoke bomb ready to go to get him out of this position, but
And more importantly,
close
we've
one.
got the skewered food here as he's taking the
Yes.
rest on the campfire, which looks like a very nice single potato, which I can't imagine is going to cook in that time, and a rasher of bacon, neither of which he can really eat when he's RPing as a full skeleton. But
Oh no, he takes a
oh,
shot in the foot from one of the skeletons that woke up. By the way, Iron Mace, give us a rat on a skewer. Give us a rat on a skewer for the resting animation. That's what I want. And I think I would know which one Strange would use. He's dropping the smoke bomb. The only unfortunate thing here is that the skeleton archers, I think their AI is a little bugged because they actually will track you in stealth as well.
yeah.
If they see you moving before you stealth, they will just keep following and shooting you in stealth. And I think the smoke bomb has the same problem. Purple longbow and an army sword and a green army sword. They're unfortunate that those are such good items, but not of any use to him. He's going to take them to vendor him, but you hate to see the
Yeah,
great loot that you can't use
that
in
would
a
that
solo
would have
game
been
like
so
this.
nice. You imagine, obviously, if that was found on a ranger, then again, a ranger probably at this stage of the game wouldn't have had the pick locks to take it out anyway. So it's yeah, it's certainly interesting. Again, with the parkour here, we see him jumping on top of the light here to open the chest below. Incredibly fluid movement, which is definitely I think the strength of so bad here.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to make the best use of this parkour because this is really what the rogue excels at, the high agility, the high movement speed. He is running naked. He's got boots and shoes on. It's a really funny sight to see a skeleton running around with just boots and shoes on. But he's running into that middle room, which I think is very interesting. Lot of risk running in there to try to loot those chests, but they are usually full of great loot. Jonah Vale, as we turn over to him, he's at pyramids, getting chased down by a team. He's going to close that door and give him some distance, but as soon as that door gets open, he's getting shot in the back by the archers. Rangers
Ooh,
are missing their shots. I think I can't tell if he got hit right there and he just got pegged in like the arm, so it didn't slow him. But
I'm not
nice
entirely
moves here.
sure. That was definitely some good sidesteps there, going in with the fear to open the door.
Oh, the
And
big gate crasher.
as we are with barbarians, for anybody else that might have been a bit of a panic situation, a ranger behind you, a skeleton just climbing up, but for a barbarian, there's no need to open any of these doors when you can just
Nope.
break them down in a single hit.
The gate crasher, getting him out of a sticky situation. And we saw him looted up with like a Gambison in the last run, so I'm not sure if he died and maybe lost some of that because he had a quarterstaff as well. But it's looking like he's starting again from fresh, or maybe he just decided to leave that gear behind until he gets a better set to put it all together. In any case, Barbarian is still really powerful with just the starting gear. As you can see, it only takes 3 hits with the buffs to take out an elite skeleton with a starter weapon. So they are very serviceable even if they die. I think the class that's going to have, as we talked about before, the class that's going to have the best chances if it dies and falls behind is probably the barbarian. But I think rogue or wizard probably have the best chance of creating themselves the biggest lead. Speaking of wizard, we got another solo wizard player here. Oh, starting up a fireball. Very unaware player here, getting shot in the back, putting himself in a weird position though, as he was coming around the rotunda. It looked like there was a teammate behind him. Unfortunately, the teammate wasn't ready for it to come up and follow behind him. Another direct fireball. It's still not enough to kill. You see how little damage they do when they have no gear. He's going to have to connect with something here if he wants to finish that off. But 2 fighters blocking his way out. This is a really precarious position that he finds himself in.
Ooh, that was a great fireball on direct hit there, though. You see the concentration coming out. This fighter can't really just keep running and swinging like this. This could end incredibly badly. Oh, but the fighter's run. Gonna get through
The
and
fighters on
ooh,
top of him. This
a
is
single
close.
hit left. This is all that's in it. Invisibility coming out. So he's going to
Look
need
at the
to generate
concentration
some
on his face.
serious distance here if he wants to survive this engage. Maybe
Great
trying to
moves
use the
here.
mobs here to take over the aggro and kind of turn the fight.
Yes. That looks exactly like what his plan was. Great movement there. Oh no, he gets clipped in the end. Skeleton Archer, the one to take him out after a valiant attempt at getting away. That was really close. Yeah, a good call out on that. It looked like he was trying to use the monsters. Hey, look at this. He's got like a little bank of spellbooks so he can just get right back in. Everybody knows if you've played a wizard before or a cleric, you're very familiar with the fact that the staff is slower than molasses and not worth using in any capacity. You might as well just drop that thing on the ground for how bad it is. Better off not casting spells, but he's got a little bank there to get back in. Yeah, good call out there. Getting into the room, using the haste to get around the boxes, use the invis to drop aggro, let the skeletons turn on him. But again, we talked about those skeleton archers. Their AI seems to be a little bug. I don't know if it's intentional, but they seem to track players through invis. If you're moving around at all, they can just kind of keep a beat on you, and he gets shot the second he pops out.
We have
Unfortunate
had
end of that run.
Tavern Master's wife here, by the way, aka Jonah Vale, has come up with 2 kills, possibly more. But judging by some of the bodies on the ground here, unfortunately tuning in slightly too late to witness the fight on it. But we have him on the board there. And then again, this is the naked barbarian. Still has the axe we saw from before. Now has a surgical kit in his inventory and some campfires. That's some pretty good regen for a barbarian, especially because they just take so much to heal. So a surgical kit, although it's going to take a very long time to use, that is a pretty big buff, or pretty big boon to have.
Yeah,
A
that
full
base
reset.
surgical kit will give about 100 health. It won't heal him to full. So if he's almost dead, it's not going to heal him all the way. But that base surgical kit will give about 100 HP. So that is huge because the interaction time is going to save him a lot of time. He can keep moving while he's using it, get into better position, maybe not find himself stuck in a corner while he's trying to heal up, or you can even use it while running through the zone to get yourself topped off after taking a lot of damage to find a better route. Certainly a very, very nice item to find, especially as a solo. Ooh, we see the escape
Is that going to
portal.
be the exit? That looks like that is going to be the exit there as well. Taking Jonah to be able to bank these points.
We see a bunch of kills on the kill feed that happened right after we tuned into Jonah, so it looks like a lot of players have died in a very short period of time. 3:58 left on the clock for that timer. Gonna get out before he's forced into a smaller zone where he has to take the 1v3. Smart plays. I think this is what we're gonna consistently see from players is they're gonna look for a couple kills early in the lobby if they can find them. If not, they're just gonna go for loot and XP from mobs and take the earliest blue portal they can. It's really all about survival when it comes to these solo runs. Little chilling out here, just camping out by the Shrine of Restoration, using invis to try to hide away from those mobs. And I'm not sure who we're looking at right now.
That was a transition off. I'm guessing that was maybe Tigerus watching a past clip there. Was thinking that might have been some actual content. So I was tuning in. Hold on. We might have So Bad here in with some looting.
Yeah,
So
he's
this
actually
may have
wearing a
been-
Marauder's outfit there.
This may have been a kill here. We can't quite see anything on the kill board here because we've had all the escapes pop up. But it looks like
Yeah.
So Bad has managed to take some loot and still neglecting to pick up a weapon. Still going with the bare-fisted skeleton here,
Nope,
but now wearing
he's
a
got
little bit of
Chris.
armor.
He's got a Chris.
Oh, he does have a Chris now. Okay. Oh, I didn't see that.
He's got himself a Chris. He's still running the smoke bombs and caltrops. Wait, what? We just saw some purples over there. He must have got real lucky with the loot off of one of those players.
Yeah.
One thing that we do see kind of often is high gear players will go in with their high gear to help lower tier friends, especially if they're going in as duos. So finding a pickup like that in the solo is huge. He's got some purple sellables there, some treasure that's going to make him a lot of money. And look at this, the confidence. He's going to go down to Inferno this early on. He
Second
mentioned that he
floor.
might try it. Yeah,
That is a
this early
brave
into the tournament?
choice. I mean, it's again like, is he going to get any kills down here? And if not, is it going to be worth his time? Now, could be as you said, right? He's picked up some good gear here. Maybe he's going to use this as a chance to go to second floor and just try and snowball that into a full set, right? Into a better set that he can use to really start wiping these lobbies. So it could be a worthwhile gamble, but we'll have to see if this pays off.
Yeah, I think the most important thing to remember here, though, is that he had some purple treasures on him. Like he already had a ton of money there. It is a hard call to make sometimes when you're looking at the gear in your inventory. Like, okay, I could go down, but what if I get a ton of good stuff? Then I'm just dropping things, and I'm kind of just I'm making a little bit more money, but I'm losing some money here because I got to make space for these new items. If you don't get good RNG on the loot, you could end up wasting time. This is a big gamble from Strange, but we'll come back to him in a little bit after we've checked out what some of the other players are doing to see if this pays off for him. He is in a great position to get himself some really good loot. If he can get it out of here alive, this may put him very well in a great position to start running over the lobbies, like you mentioned, snowball that super hard. But as we saw already, some of the other big players have already landed a few kills and come out with some loot as a result of those kills. As we tuned into Hansel before, was looking at a triple kill, picked up a ton of loot and got himself out. It does look like he died though. He's not running that dual wield anymore, and he is running the starter round shield just by the image that we see at the bottom there. We can tell that the quality is low.
That does look like a starter setup, yeah. So I guess maybe died and lost the dual sword setup, or decided to bank it. We're not, I guess, gonna be too familiar, but I'm gonna say that's more than likely gonna be an unfortunate death and losing both of those swords.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Like you said, he could have banked it, waiting for a better set. That is another very common strategy. If you pick up one really, really good item, it's not always necessarily a good idea to go straight back into the dungeon with it because you could lose it. One item isn't necessarily enough to make or break a character, but if you can bank it and pick up a bunch of other gear to use alongside it, it could make a big difference. You know, you're talking about a purple weapon on top of a bunch of blue gear with plus all stats. But as we're talking about this, he's taking a fight here. It looks like he actually has I can't tell if that's a falchion or an arming sword by the comp, but he
Looks like
gets
an arming sword, I
absolutely,
think, but
yeah,
just barbed,
gratitude just
fully
yeah,
barbed.
with a horseman axe, no less.
Yeah.
Actually, I find horseman axes a lot harder to deal with because it's so fast and it keeps them
Yeah.
really maneuverable. So he was kind of banking on using the sprint there to give him mobility to circle around his opponent. But his opponent was doing basically the same thing, but as a barb, he's just essentially outmatched without gear. He just kind of gets run over there. And you can see they were trading blows back and forth. It looked like they hit each other about the same amount, but he took considerably more damage.
Hey, one player we might want to check out is Hippo Raid. I just sent a link over, Nomad. He's on a 2-kill run so far,
Perfect.
and he's
I have
playing a
logo.
cleric.
Ah, nice, a cleric. This is what we wanted to see. Yeah, we'll swap over for one moment whilst we get these other streams up, ready to play out. So if you want to talk a little bit about the fighter here, I suppose, whilst we saw, because we did see swapping over from the dual swords back over to the single swords. Going to speak a little bit about the fighter, the shield, and how that comes into effect whilst I load these up.
Yeah, I mean, fighter has a lot of options, right? And there are so many different ways you can approach a fight depending on what weapons you're using. Shield gives you a lot of opportunities to force opponents' hands because if you're able to run in, trade one hit, and then throw up the shield back off and block one of their hits, it sort of starts to put them in this like panic state, right? Because they're like, okay, he's just getting free damage on me, and I'm not really doing anything back to him. What do we do here? So sword and shield, I think, although it's like really good as a default, it does also have some weaknesses because the DPS is so low. In certain cases, you'll see things like a barb just straight up take the two-hander and just go, I'm going to blow past your shield. I don't care. Come give me a hug. I'm going to sit here right on top of you and just swing right through this. It's I think the thing about fighter is that because they have the ability to use basically every weapon in the game, they have a very high skill ceiling. With that high skill ceiling, though, comes a lot of opportunities to make mistakes. They could carry a ranged weapon and then two different kinds of melee weapons with them, maybe a sword and shield, maybe a spear, and then like a bow. But you have to swap those mid combat if you want to take advantage of the different different tools that they have. Spear is very good at keeping barb at a distance, preventing them from getting on top of you by using sprint, just kind of spinning a little bit, backpedaling, throwing out those jabs. Sword and shield can get blown past by a barb if they want to just run straight up on you. But longbow, if you get caught with a longbow in your hands, you're screwed. Fighter is really dynamic, really challenging, very high skill cap. Barb is, I'm going to run at you.
So we're back on here. We do have our cleric open now. We've got the Morningstar shield and an inventory full of some loot. I can't quite tell what those bright blue plate boots are.
Those are cobalt boots, which he absolutely had to have looted from a player. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that might. I mean, also can use the cobalt boots as a cleric too, actually, which I didn't think about before either. But yeah, no, crafted gear was something I didn't really take into account. But I can't imagine we have too many people spending time trying to craft gear to push through in the
No.
tournament. But yeah, so that has to have been from a killed player there in the inventory.
Yeah, so Hippo Raid has actually gotten himself a kill. It looks like he took out Valmus with Smite there. That solo ability from
and
the
Fire Filter above with the Morningstar too. So that is a 2-kill, very short back to back, at least on the logs there. So that is a 2-kill in this one game here so far. Hippo Raid was one of the people that we did have said in chat earlier was going to be a cleric within the tournament. We have had someone push through in chat here. Is avoiding fights with VoIP allowed or against the rules? Is the debate in Jonas' chat. I mean, I don't believe we had any stipulations in place on rules to say that you can't, use VoIP to kind of weasel your way out of an engagement, or potentially force yourself into one by insulting someone's character, perhaps. But yeah, there was no rule stipulations about using VoIP in the match to communicate with other players, as far as I'm aware.
I will let Vorex decide that because I believe it is actually against the rules. We'll get a confirmation from the refs here because using VoIP is considered sort of like skirting the line there into teaming. Because if you dissuade another player by saying, "Hey, I'm an attorney, I'm in solo, don't kill me," that's considered sort of a thing of teaming. But we'll let the judges come through with the judgment on that. Let the tournament organizers come through with the judgment on that. And we'll just allow them to type that into chat to answer that question for everybody. And maybe we can get a ping in the Discord as a reminder in case there's any uncertainty on that. But as far as I know, I believe that was originally talked about in the initial broadcast of the rules was no teaming in any shape or form, which includes using VoIP to avoid fights.
No, well, we're gonna a ping through on it again. I mean, it's gonna be one of those things we don't want to have to go through case by case and stuff. But I understand that VoIP is one of those things that is newer to the game and stuff, and that people are gonna quite naturally use VoIPs in these encounters. So we'll have to see where that plays into the rules within this tournament.
I think it would be best to disable VoIP, but I can also see the strategic option of if people are using VoIP in game, you can keep track of them where they are with the voice chat.
Yeah.
So leaving it on is also a good idea. But we'll let the tournament organizers sort that out so we can just keep on top of the action here. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. There is an assistance channel that people can ask questions. So if there's anything that is unclear, we'll get that cleared up for you guys there. Appreciate your patience with that.
Looks like we do have Solo right here on a Ranger too, which is something we didn't know if we'd see or not. 3 campfires, but is in the library, and obviously a lot of loot there. The library, I think, is probably going to be one of the best places to start on a 0 as the hero run because there is just so much loot, and a few of those mages around that you can kill too, and it should end up in quite a lot of experience if you can clear through it and get out and sell everything as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's already basically got a full inventory. Interesting to see that he's using a survival bow. I think this weapon is borderline useless.
I would definitely agree. I completely despise the survival bow, and it just doesn't seem to do anything. I think I'd definitely rather throw torches at my opponent. But yeah, at this point, looks like Solar Rat is going in here to loot, and maybe we'll find a better bow. I don't know the quality of this bow. Maybe it's a really good survival bow, and we're just
maybe.
We're not seeing it. Obviously, it does have that 7-round magazine instead of the 5-round of the longbow, but
it looks like it's a piece of garbage because it's just a stick with a string on it.
Yes.
And I think
it's
a purple survival bow. It's almost like he heard us.
It is purple, so
okay.
who knows?
Yeah, your very high quality string on a stick is probably still worse than like a white recurve bow. Unless it has like a bunch of plus fizzy.
Or is the string? That's the thing we don't know. It doesn't look like quite a shiny stick. Yeah.
It's a lacquered stick. Yeah, it does look like somebody sanded it down, took some time to stain it and give it a lacquer. It looks real nice for a piece of crap. I'm very surprised anyone would bother using that thing. I've actually seen like purple survivor bows and just left them. I'm like, yeah, nobody will want this. Nobody's gonna buy this.
Because purple doesn't always necessarily mean good. That's the biggest thing, and I think that something that not a lot of the players in the auction house seem to understand. Now, I have noticed here that Hippo is fully buffed up.
Yeah,
looking for shrines there, but shrines have already been taken, so obviously not gonna be able to grab those. Maybe we'll look
at the tough spot for cleric. He has all his buffs up, right? But they're all expiring. If the enemy team decides to run at him right now, he's in trouble.
And that's a lot of distance needed to be closed there as well. Should he decide to start pushing them on the opposite side, and then they peek up the top side of that steps, that's still a lot of ground to cover. where you could just be pelted with arrows. So it is a really dangerous situation, and I think one that he's likely going to be avoiding here.
Yeah, I would definitely avoid this because you also don't know if the enemy team has a rogue, and if you've ever played a cleric, rogue is probably your worst matchup. Despite the fact that barb can run you down, rogue's speed makes the cleric's mace look like a joke. It's just so difficult to actually hit a rogue if you don't have like bind and judgment and stuff, which bind is already slow enough to cast and then swap back to your main weapon that is almost not even worth it. More of a team setting spell. But this is where cleric is in a lot of trouble, is if they run around the corner, they will look for a team, they hear some noises, they get baited into a trap and a rogue pops up behind them, they just kiss that run goodbye. You're not getting out of there.
The clerics are also capable of using the quarterstaff.
Yes, clerics are capable of using quarterstaff. It is decent on them. I think the biggest problem with cleric using quarterstaff is that it doesn't put out enough damage quickly enough for it to be worth using over a war maul. And the downside is that the block on the quarterstaff is really terrible, but clerics can use heater shields and kite shields, which really gives them the advantage against. That's like the one line of defense that they have against some of these classes.
Ooh.
So wearing that plate armor, there's a few different schools of thought with cleric, right? Some people like to go light armor with cleric, stay mobile, be able to cast really quickly, have higher interaction speed. Some people prefer to go with the big plate armor and just go swinging with big heavy weapons. There's a lot of places in between, and it's very interesting that cleric can be played in a lot of those different ways. As we see, he is buffing up as
Here he comes.
Sight of some players getting ready to push in, but that fireball is going to be a deterrent. Getting shot at the trap. I think that was a misfire from the wizard. Another miss.
Managing to push around on the corner hit. This is going to be a dangerous situation to really push on it either way. But
boosted him forward though.
The rocket jump was real, and there goes down the warrior. Next onto the cleric. Takes down the cleric too, and now it's just the wizard who's slowly backing away, which is probably not the play, and it's a 1v3. A 1v3, everyone taken down.
Okay, I don't know what the ruling is on this. We'll have to let the judges call on that. But actually, one of those kills was friendly fire. So
really?
The wizard back there, yeah, if we look at the kill feed, the wizard actually killed one of his teammates with magic missile.
Well, the rules specifically say that you do have to get the kill, so it's unfortunate that the person that stole the kill off of Hippo here was in fact the team that he was killing. That maybe just a spiteful last act, knowing they were all going down. The wizard chose to not let him get the point.
It definitely looked like an accident, and I would not be surprised to see a wizard accidentally kill their teammates. That is very on brand for wizards. But look at this. He's in light armor, and he just took a straight up 1v3. To anybody who's a naysayer and says cleric can't do it, there it is. It's right there in front of you. You can push a team. Now, of course, they were not very well synergized. The cleric or the wizard missed a lot of fireballs there. They weren't set up to really deal with his push right there. It looks like they kind of panicked. Oh, but he's right around the corner. It's so obvious. Please tell me he doesn't check. Okay, wait a minute. Is this Strange? Is Strange running away from him right now? We see a smoke bomb come out. If he's not careful, though, that might be someone in stealth sitting there waiting. This is super scary to chase like that.
Okay, here's the rogue still hard chasing all the PvE aggro going to the rogue right now. Turning around, it is a very risky thing to do to chase this because, as we know, this rogue could also turn around last minute without the cleric buffed and do some serious damage. Now we see the cleric buffing up, but the archers are pressuring on from behind, which is a little bit risky here. Has to just kind of heal through it, maybe go for a little bonk here on this archer and deal with it. But that is going to cut the chase from the rogue if the rogue chooses to continue running away. And the worst part here has now really offset those buffs as well, right? So kind of really threw him off there on his engage.
Yeah, the tempo's definitely been severed here. He was chasing the rogue down. It looked like he was going to go through the door, but getting that shot in the back of the head, he thought better of it. He's already got a couple kills on this run, some really good loot. Doesn't want to lose it, playing smart, conservative. Knows he's still got plenty of time left in the run to make it happen and just wants to stay on top. I mean, I'm respecting the fact that we've seen a solo cleric doing anything at all. So I'm with it there on the play. The only thing I will say is that he's a bit lucky that the rogue didn't decide to attack him while he was dealing with the ranger because, as you mentioned before, rogues are very good at engaging from behind with a quick ambush while you're engaged in PvP or PvE. So if he was there hitting the ranger in the the rogue decided to jump through while his buffs were expiring. That could have been really bad for him.
Yeah, especially we saw before when he ran through the room, aggroed the two skeletal archers there and the mage, and Hippo seeing this decided to go in full pursuit. As soon as that rogue wrapped the corner, could have very easily just hit that stealth button, causing the aggro to drop and then full focus on Hippo, and then use that to counter engage back. So yeah, the chases are incredibly risky. Looks like Hippo might go for a quick campfire here, but the border is approaching.
I think it's worth it for him because he's going to get a lot of his spells back and he can easily heal himself. One thing I thought, okay, he did decide it's a better idea to move the campfire a little further in. He's going to go up to the rotunda here, which could be a little dangerous if the skeleton mage or the spiders are still up. Yeah, they still are. So this is going to consume a lot of his time. He's going to have to deal with this. Just an unfortunate reality of the situation. But if he can get control of rotunda, he'll also be in a good position to deal with any players that are coming through it late. If any of these skeletons have been killed, that is very fortunate for him. Another dead player, so he might be able to pick something up. I'm not sure if this was one of his kills from earlier, as we didn't get to see the full action of the lobby, but really good plays here from Hippos so far. Interesting to note, he is running as his current only talent the 20% increased damage to undead, which is why he's able to quickly dispatch them and probably going to help him get a lot of XP to quickly unlock those next talent slots. But I'm very surprised to see it wasn't like the heal increase or maybe like the 10% damage to blunt weapons, which would help him out a little bit more in PvP. But it looks like he's feeling pretty confident in his current setup. This is really stock standard. Bless, lesser heal, holy light to get a little extra damage on like elite mobs like a skeletal champion and a wraith. He could probably solo those with those spells. He's looking set up for success. I really do think cleric has more power in solo than people give it credit for.
I would definitely agree here after seeing just walking through that 3-man party. Now, granted, they didn't play, I think, the best. They were very clumped up and they kind of ended up in this single fire, which not only resulted in being unable to attack Hippo as he was pushing them, but also a friendly fire incident and one of them falling because of it. But yeah, I don't know. It is strong. I've been watching here, and I think what's been nice about Hippo running here so far is he seems to be quite good with his kind of assessment of what's been going on in the environment. We saw him early before he even engaged that previous group. As he was looking up to get those shrine buffs, was able to track that they hadn't gone all the way around to the right because one of the skeletons spawned. Now he can see potions over there. And potions usually mean a player,
Yeah.
as they do here, which was a barbarian seemingly bandaging. Now can take that time to buff up here before pushing through the traps here. 3-man escape spawned in front. Well, deeper down. It's an option, but probably not an ideal one. Gonna look to push the barbarian here,
The
which is a
protection
little
buff
bit risky
coming up, yeah.
without having awareness of the numbers here. But again, like the single target, right? This range is gonna get the skeletal archer behind. He's just turtling, which is a smart thing to do. Let the skeletal archer really put in work and just finish up.
This is such
There
good
it
plays.
is.
He's blocking and one more hit. That's 4 kills in this lobby now for Hippo already. He is on fire. As we see this wrap up, it looks like Dank is also engaged in some combat here. Just killed one, fighting another 2. Let's see if we can jump over to that stream if we have a link in the content ping channel. Let's see if we can catch the tail end of that. He is in the library. He did pick off 1 kill there, using the ladder strat to try to get some height here. Maybe hide from some of these players.
Oh, and there they
Obviously
are.
knows-
The
Whoa,
smile
this is
coming
huge.
out. That's definitely a maniacal
Sinister
laugh.
smile of a wizard.
Casting down
Fantastic.
hellfire from above as this guy desperately tries to block, but
Guys
can't
down
quite
below
do
just-
it.
I love the animations of this game. How he's just stuck looking up like this. It looks like a turkey in the rain, dude. That was fantastic. Dank picking up another kill there with the magic missiles as the final teammate starts to flee, but he's not going to let him get away. Cleric turning around to try to avenge his teammates. He's taking some damage from the spiders here as they chase him around, popping the haste, using that to kite out the cleric. And the cleric, this is the worst fight for a cleric outside of a rogue. He just has no way to catch up if he doesn't have smite or bind. And he's getting zapped. The fireballs are coming out. Even with the spiders in hot pursuit, it's not enough to help him catch up. And he's got to be dangerously
And there it
low at
is.
this point. He picks up the triple from the burn on the fireball. Huge plays from Dank here, taking advantage of that map knowledge that we discussed earlier, getting on top of the library to just rain hellfire down on these guys. And that is big. We did not expect to see players getting so many kills this early on into the
No.
tournament. I'm so surprised.
That was definitely a wild ride. I'm glad we managed to get over there from the content ping. So thank you for that. That was that was definitely an enjoyable moment to catch live on the tournament.
Yeah, great job to everybody that's been helping out. Arcane, appreciate you staying on top of everything. Shout out to the mods who have been able to keep us on top of that. We get a content ping for Strange, actually, who we haven't checked in with for a while since we saw that first engagement when he went down to Inferno. So let's see what's going on here. He is locked into PvE right now. We see him back on the Rondell dagger, which is interesting. He might have picked up a better one. He has picked up poison weapons, which means he must be level 5 now. That's huge for him, especially as a solo rogue. That's really going to make the difference when it comes to killing mobs in solo PvE. But look at how low his health is.
It's one of the things I genuinely struggle with a lot of the time is rogue versus those archers. As you said before, they don't really break their tracking when you stealth. Obviously, rogue has to get super close and up close and personal with them. And those archers, if they hit you with that double pump, even if you're kiting around them, sometimes they're just going to hit you. And if that connects, then you're looking at losing 50% plus of your HP from that attack combo, and it is devastating.
I personally think that the archers need to be readjusted. I think their AI is a little funky. It's a little too easy for them to hit you while you're right on top of them. Really dangerous moves here to run through this in the complete darkness, but utter confidence from Strange as he runs over here to pick up this Shrine of Health. Barely surviving his fight with the archer. Now going to have to deal with the poison cloud from the zombie who is slowly working his way up the altar there. Gonna avoid this instead by using the gates here from Foursquare. Not gonna drop it behind him though. Probably trying to lure the zombies into this room to use as a trap for Player's Lair. We know he loves those rat strats, so we'll see what comes of that. It looks like he wiped because we're looking at basically a clear inventory from him, and he said that whenever he dies, he's going in naked. He's treating it like a hardcore run. But having that level 5 is going to make the difference. He can get 2 stabs off on these bat skulls and then just back off. Not a whole lot of action going on that end, though. It looks like he may have just escaped a fight. We forgot to check.
Potentially have one back here with Hansel, though.
Hansel has 4 kills on the feed.
4 kills, and this looks like a longbow too on his fighter now, which is a pretty big pickup, especially if that's a good one. But that's 4 kills on the kill board. That is actually pretty insane. Going in here, jumping in with the haste, and pushing in with the spear.
Oh, this is a dead road.
So wait, is this a fighter RPing a ranger? I'm quite confused. We have the bow, we have the spear. It is indeed, but it's definitely. Oh, okay, and we see him going through the narrow corridors here. That overhead, I didn't know if that was gonna hit. I did not know if that was gonna hit with the doorway above. I thought that might have blocked the final blow and landed Hansel here in a little bit of trouble with that warrior being on his second stab of the combo, at least though. But no, manages to push it through.
6 kills. This is what I was talking about. Fighter is so versatile, and if you get rolling, Fighter is so strong. Stepping in the trap long after the Ranger is dead. I'm sure he's thanking his lucky stars that didn't happen while he was fighting the Ranger. Certainly ran that way, like he was getting ready to trap him. But this is a huge lead for Hansel. He's putting himself at a comfortable first. I can't imagine anybody else is even close to that. But we'll have to check in with some of the other players to see, as I think Hansel has kind of wiped up this lobby. I can't imagine there's many players left based on the side of the map that he's on. He might run into some people soon, but with 6 kills, you got to imagine that first blue portal he sees, he's going to take. Hippo Raid, as we come back over, picking up yet another kill. Actually, it looks like there was a couple on the feed for him. I am really surprised. The 2 top players at the moment are a solo cleric and a solo fighter, which is just not at all what we expected. I'm not that surprised that the fighter is able to pick it up. Personally, I love fighter solo. It's probably my favorite solo class. I think it just has the most potential to outplay, but it is the easiest class to make mistakes with because of all those options. But the solo cleric is got to be the most bizarre thing. If a solo cleric wins this, are clerics going to get nerfed? Like what?
It's also worth noting that last kill, as I've just been informed, was with Hippo's bare hands as well. So that was definitely impressive. Yeah, they're on the kill board, no weapon used, just killed Sarod. But this is one of the interesting things. We saw Cleric last time being played. Even this wipe, I've been watching a few people who have been playing Cleric, but they've also been going with the Ale buff for the damage. And we noticed here that Hippo is not actually using the Ale buff, just going in completely fine without it, and still
he's got perseverance.
Full wipes.
He's got perseverance so that he can keep his armor light and reduce some of that damage there by 3 from all sources. Look, the zap barely even touching him there. If you don't know, the blue pots that you drink, this is really tough for him. He needs to get himself out of this situation, but he's got a wizard behind him. This might be a death. He does get the heal off, 2 heals in a row. This is going to keep him healthy, but he's still getting chased down, and this is really scary. He's going to have to get a protection buff up on him. Okay, this is where he can turn the fight around. His smite is almost available, which means he's going to get some extra damage out. But look at the fighter just frontlining with a shield, preventing him from getting to the back line. This is a really tough situation. Getting some really good hits, takes one out with the smite, but he's on 1 hit himself. If the wizard finds another hit, look at the concentration on his face as he's closing the door. The wizard was running up. He must have been out of spells. He was barely able to get through that door as the wizard was following up in hot pursuit with the crystal sword. He needs to be careful not to run any traps, but the wizard decides to back off, maybe lick his wounds, look for a better fight, meditate, try to get some spells. Very fortunate for Hippo that he decided not to follow up. The slow interaction for speed from Wizard, keeping him safe for just a moment, but quickly thinking on his feet, turning around. He's going to go look for the Wizard, who is looting up his team. Haste coming out to give him some distance, running around the outside, but he puts away his weapon to try to keep up with him. He's going to reach himself into a corner if he's not careful, and the arcane missiles are going to come out. Easily blocking and dodging those, closing the gap. This is it. The 3v1. Can he make this happen? He's dodging all the shots. Gets 1 hit. One more is going to do it if he can connect with the headshot. He might even put this away and just go for the fist. The Wizard's running out of options. He has no space left, and Hippo's.
And there it is.
The deck from the back of the head. He takes him out, winning the 3v1, and he hits the clip on the shadow play. I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing. Fantastic 3v1 from Hippo. I cannot believe he lived there. Oh my goodness. What
incredible. Incredible pacing, you know, the pressure putting down and understanding when he has a backup. Make sure he had that, you know, distance between and heal. Great choice of jumping up there over that red shrine. Absolutely incredible plays there coming out from Hippo.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, man. I mean, wow. You can see him popping off right now. He absolutely deserves it. That was phenomenal. We haven't seen anything like that so far. We saw him engage in a 3v1 earlier. It looked way easier than that. He kind of just ran him down. This was putting away the armor. And look, he's running Perseverance, so that he reduces some of his base damage. We were talking about that just before the fight started, so that he can stay in light armor to stay maneuverable, because a cleric is really susceptible, as they are very slow if they're wearing the heavy armor. So although the heavy armor would reduce some of the damage, he still would have been getting burnt to a crisp by that wizard. And having heavy armor, he would not have been able to get away from them while casting spells. That spellbook coming in clutch too, to give him the bigger speed. As we come over here, Nozori
sneaking in, trying to line up that shot, making sure that he doesn't, you know, waste that first vital hit there on the crossbow. We see he's now swapping. Oh, he is now running Ranger as well. Not the wizard here, going off for the early damage here of the crossbow hit combined with a triple shot, kind of to start off the fight with. But here comes the warrior rushing in, and this is looking pretty dangerous for Naz.
Yeah, getting trapped in the corner there up against the table with the brazier next to him, that gonna just get pinned down by the fighter. And interesting swap here. I think the swap this late into the run. I mean, we are coming up on the close of the first hour, which means we're coming up to the halftime. Players are going to be wrapping up their final lobbies. If we could get the admins to just remind everybody that we're coming up on halftime here, so we can get a little break for everybody before we jump back in. This is it. We only have a little bit of time left to get these the end of this first run in, and we have a couple players that are in a comfortable first place. So these players that are sort of scrambling around, swapping classes, trying to make last minute decisions, are kind of putting themselves at a disadvantage instead of just sticking to the main class. But obviously, Nozori's got a few runs under his belt with the gold there, feeling confident that Ranger is the answer. But man, the fighter and the cleric are the 2 stars of the show right now. We got to check in with Strange at some point to see if the rogue's going any better. But all the barbs and wizards must be green with envy at this point.
We have
Does look like he's running into a load, yeah.
So bad is on a loading screen here. We have Tigress back in the lobby as well. We do have Dark RNG here in the middle of a fight, dropping down to the traps below to avoid a team above.
Ooh, this is tough. Does get the invis off. He's going to get up the stairs. No, giving him the slip, staying down bottom anyway. Wants to use those spike traps to his advantage, I would guess, as he's getting chased around by a few players.
I don't know if they've seen where he's gone.
Yeah, it looks like he lost them. Maybe
possibly
they
were watching but didn't want to chase into the spike pit there, which is curious. Maybe worried about additional teammates. I'm not entirely sure what would cause them to turn around there.
Zone closing. Maybe they got called off by one of the teammates. Maybe one of the other teammates got engaged in a different fight somewhere else, or maybe they just straight up lost them. Maybe they don't have their headphones on. Maybe they are playing music too loud to hear the footsteps. All I know is that he got out of that one when it really should have been easy for them to chase him down. So I'm sure he's thankful that whoever's opponents are not as aggressive as some other players would be. getting himself doesn't look like he's gotten any kills on this run just yet, but we've seen him pull off a couple stunts early on. Oh, the fireball. They were aware that he is still down there and they were prepping that ready for him, but they run away. What is this? They are just not taking the 1v3. A little bit of
Wizard
fear
leading
from
up
the
there.
team.
Is it 3 or I think we saw at least 2?
There was a fighter and obviously a wizard because of the fireball. There was another teammate on the other side of that bridge there. I don't know if it was part of the same team or if that was a different solo.
Unless maybe that was another person and the reason why they chose to extract there instead of chasing down.
True. Probably. Yeah, I mean, a lot of action happens on this bridge area. We talked about this during Cross's tournament yesterday. If the devs release a heat map where we actually get to see where most of the action happens, I'm guaranteeing that this is going to be one of the hottest spots because a lot of teams end up meeting up here in the normal difficulty lobbies. This is one of the most common spots for teams to run into each other. And it's also a big open space with a lot of sight lines that people can use for rangers and wizards to take shots at people. It's got a lot of cover to sort of give you ability to jump on top of things and make people miss their melee swings. Very engaging place to fight. Also very dangerous if you fall.
And we do have the chase continuing here as we see one person down at least and the fireball taking down Wizard there with the fireball and the teammate behind trying to crouch up on the barrels to survive. That might have been all there is to it with 2 of them going down there to Dark RNG. I mean, that we're closing in on the last couple of circles here. Hopefully Dark can find a little escape portal here because that has been another great round for the Wizard.
Yeah, quick pick up on 2 kills there right at the very end of this zone. He's got 358 left before it closes, so he's going to take a little time to loot up. But as we mentioned before, as a solo, the closer you get to these end circles, the more likely you are to run into a trio. So you got to be careful about taking too long. I think the 4-minute marker is right around the time where you decide you really want to get out. Unless you're confident in taking the 3v1, which Hippo Raid at this point, I'm sure he's like walking on sunshine right now. He's feeling himself. He's ready to just take those fights. I wouldn't be surprised to just see him man mode up because he's so far ahead and he's probably pretty geared at this point. If he could just keep snowballing these wins, I feel like in the second half, he can play it slow and just take his time and he'll be fine. I mean, it seems like Hippo is our clear leader at the moment, but we've been jumping around. We haven't seen a whole lot of action on the other channels. We haven't gotten pinged for those. So nobody really getting into major fights here, but I'm curious to hear what some of the streamers' thoughts are. We actually see Jonah Vale swapping to Cleric. I don't know if he was watching Hippo Raid and maybe got a little inspiration there, but I'm excited to see if the conversation around Cleric turns around after this, because I played a little solo Cleric yesterday myself, and it felt really strong having all those buffs. If you take fights the right way and you don't just force yourself out in the open and run into opponents all willy-nilly, you can really do a lot of damage with Cleric with full buffs. It's just getting caught without them is basically a death sentence.
Yeah, so we see, I mean, Jonah's going to be, I'm trying to think here, this looks like this is the quarterstaff, so I think this is the one we were talking about a little bit earlier, where this is the drunken cleric pushing through the quarterstaff to get that, like, really high damage, and I have seen Jonah running through and just one-hitting people with this build, and again, like, quarterstaff allowing you to maintain your speed relatively. We look like we have some buffs coming out here, so I'm presuming that there's going to be an engage, but I'm not sure with what entirely. There was a lot of buffs to come out for nobody to be up here unless it is a rogue stealth in here somewhere, which it looks like he's checking for.
Yeah, it could be anywhere in the corner. The best thing to do if you're this buffed up is just straight up walk into where you think they might be. But he obviously heard something, and now he finally spots out what looks like a barbarian. The floor isn't open, but all those buffs are expiring, so he's going to have to take some time to back off and pre-buff before he wants to take this fight, because a 1v1 with a barb without your buffs up is also a death sentence. He only has to really hit you once, and then any other touch after that is death. Especially if you don't have a lot of gear on Cleric, you can be really, really squishy without the extra perks. And based on what we're looking at in the talents right now, usually you can see people's buffs along the top. So right now you can see his smite is currently active, giving him some extra weapon damage. It doesn't look like he has any passives at the moment, so he's only running that alcohol one. So he doesn't really have any other defensives at his disposal. Has to be really careful about what he does at low level here.
It's one of the things I have noticed with Jonah playing previously as well, is that he is quite good with kind of orb walking through with those attacks. So being able to step in for the hit, step back and pace back in again when that quarterstaff comes around for the second hit. So it has been really good at pacing and really step, getting that back and forth step just really timed perfectly with a lot of the slower weapon hits, especially from warriors and barbarians. But it's also very easy to mess that up, and if you do, then things can go south pretty quick.
It only takes one hit to get clipped, and then you get tagged and you're slowed, and it's lights out after that. So yeah, absolutely got to be really careful with that, especially when you're playing a glass cannon style build like this and you're not buffed up. It's just a death sentence. Nizori getting is sort of on the back foot here, backing up into the mummy lion's head room, but taking some nice shots and actually picking up Burlip with the survival bow of all things. Nizori also up on the kill feed there at the top, taking out Rodman Bodman with the longbow. And I think there was one other kill up there, but I can't tell because the loot is covering it. So Nizori, off to a pretty shaky start from what we saw when we were watching him earlier, but picking up a kill or two here or there, maybe finding some momentum. Hopefully, able to clear his head after we come back from the break here and come back strong in the second half and put on a good performance. I know a lot of people were rooting for Nizori in this, and you told me that you'd played with him and seen some pretty impressive stuff. So I'm looking to see some action from him. And
I did in fact see from him, I believe, an interesting clip on Ranger, because I know he has been playing Ranger this wipe too, where he actually managed to pick up a collateral kill with a windless crossbow, where he shot killed 2 people with the single bolt.
I didn't even know that was possible.
Neither did him every day. And neither did any of us until we saw that happen, and we're like, "Oh, okay, that's a thing." So yeah, the windless crossbow is more than capable of killing multiple targets with a single bolt. The penetration is there. It does not stop and embed in the first target. It appears it can drive through one and directly into the skull of another. So
that's rough, man. I don't know if I'd rather be the guy at the back getting hit by that or the guy in the front that is just getting punched through. That sounds terrible. Windlass crossbow is a force to be reckoned with, but man, is that thing so slow. It's a big, risky weapon, but I guess it makes sense on a Ranger if you're running double range. You take that one shot with the windlass if it does enough damage. I can see the strategy of using the survival crossbow as your backup, where you tag with the windlass and basically do 80% of somebody's life, swap to the survival bow, which can really, really get it quickly get a shot off just to finish somebody off. But I can't think of a more high risk way to play the game in that case. If you're taking a shot from a weapon that takes like 5 seconds to reload stationary and you miss that shot and you've got a survival bow backup, oh man, that doesn't sound good to me. Not my type of play.
Yeah, I think some of the most effective use I've seen it deployed has been in things like just crossbows in general, just starting a fight. So not being used in a fight, not being held onto and gone back to at any point in the fight, but just for that opening massive damage. Looks like we do have Jonah buffing up here with the staff, and I think that is a group of players, or a player at least, on the opposite side.
He's gonna have to deal with the dragonfly poison, which, because he doesn't have perseverance, will actually do some damage to him here. But yeah, getting buffed up,
Rogue
throwing up the ale. Look at all the buffs on his bar right now. He's just swinging wildly, trying to find that rogue. There he is. He gets one hit on the rogue, and it literally almost kills him. Wait, actually, he killed him in one hit, and it wasn't even a headshot.
And that is the drunken buffed quarterstaff on the cleric. It is a terrifying thing to run into.
There's a chest shot. Actually, let's get him in the gut. It was just swinging at him as he ran by, and he's got some leather legs there too, so he's geared up a little bit. That's wow, that is very scary. It's a really small window of opportunity to make that happen, though, because you spend so much time casting those buffs that you only have like 10 seconds to make it happen. But clearly 10 seconds is enough when you're running with the speed of the quarterstaff. You just chase somebody down. I mean, he was on top of him in like 2 seconds. It just went bonk right in the stomach.
That was it. And again, like it because you don't have to aim for those headshots, because you can just aim for center mass. It allows you to really control and focus on your footwork and your pacing over, exactly where you can hit them at the time. And banking those kills straight away too.
So we are waiting for ruling from the judges, because I don't think we started at exactly 1 on the spot, but we're gonna call. I think the tournament ending is when we're gonna cut people off, and the kills don't count after that. But I'm not sure what we decided on for the halftime. I would like for, if the admins could please reach out to all the streamers and let them know that we're coming up on halftime. So we're just going to take a quick break. We'll wait for Strange to pop back in here and give us the go ahead on when we can pick back up. But I will again let the tournament organizers handle that stuff, because they are on top of it, and we are just here to tell stupid jokes and talk about the game. No,
so this is it didn't end 3 minutes ago. This is the halftime, right? So we're having 2 segments to this rather than sitting everybody through this 2 hour. This is what Odin here is referencing, rather than sitting everybody through like one big 2 hour kind of slog of gameplay. if people need to take a moment to go, you know, run to the bathroom and grab a drink or whatever, having a little halftime so people can go and do that.
Vaynard, if you have any questions, make sure you just ping the tournament assistants in the Discord.
Yeah.
So they can answer all that stuff for you there. It's hard for us to keep tabs on everything that goes on in chat because we're mostly just trying to pay attention to keeping the commentary and making sure that we're watching what's happening. Actually, as we say that, we see Hippo raid solo picking up a kill on a moist casting nest. Moist castingist?
Moist casting us, yes, and that was a back headshot on the wizard fleeing in fear as we saw him crumple to the ground underneath the Morning Star's weight.
Looks like Hippo has a little tip that there might be a sneaky rogue sneaking around somewhere nearby as he was swinging around, but doesn't find the stealthed rat and instead just decides to close the door and back off. Playing very safe. I really respect the way that he's been playing this. He sees another team here evaluating whether or not he wants to go on that. They look like they're pretty low geared. Looks like there's just some padded tunics on these players. Not really anything to be super concerned with, but you never know. There are some sleeper players that get some crazy gear at lower tiers and just look like they're naked and actually run up to you and they're wearing full purples. So got to be careful here. Always taking some time to go off and grab these shrines. This is really smart. If he gets a chance to get this, get a pod off, get a protection spell on himself, get buffs, he can go take that fight, no problem. All right, looks like we're popping over to Porter Savage, who is currently gearing up for the next drop into the raid. Lots of supplies there on the right. Definitely something you like to see. I make cloud noises, very appropriate name for a barb.
You know, a hell of a lot of consumables there, which is yeah. I think like the last tournament when we were doing the end kind of tournament where everyone already had all their gear and we're stocked up and ready to go. People were running in just a ridiculous amount of consumables. But this time around, we haven't seen it so much because people just haven't had that supply. But obviously, Porter Savage here managing to pick this stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, level 6 as well. So getting that second talent, we already saw a couple players that are pretty far ahead in terms of the levels. I gotta assume that like Hippo is probably pretty far up. Danks, the two players that we're really watching right now that have got a lot of kills and have extracted consistently, are probably sitting at like almost level 10, I would say at this point. And getting that third perk slot is a really big difference maker for both those classes. Interesting here. I don't know if I've ever seen a drunk barbarian before, but this is terrifying. This is what I assume all barbarians see at all the times. It's just warped, distorted rage in front of them at all times. So this seems kind of on brand, even though he is drunk. Oh my god, look at how slow he is.
I just it's so disorienting. I don't know how this can be done, but it I mean it is terrifying, right? I mean you're adding a lot of damage, but at the same time, how like to be able to play like that is just something something special. I don't know.
He has spotted out a player. He's just going for the fisticuffs. I don't know if it's just some stream delay that we're getting. It looks very slowed down, but he's getting into a just straight up fist fight with this.
It's fine because we just get this slow motion.
We got like the put on the Matrix soundtrack in the background. Yeah, Death Skull killing. Yes, I have a microphone. Wait, Death Skull? Wait, what? The Death Skull coming in and sniping.
Oh, that was the scream. I thought that was a triumphant scream after punching his heads in, but no, the Death Skull stole the kill by swooping in.
You gotta be kidding me. I would be so mad at the Death Skull coming in to snipe the kill. That was a troll from SDF himself. SDF was watching the stream and said, nope, we're stealing this one away from you. That is ridiculous. I can't believe. Oh my god, dying to the death bat. Wow. Porter, I gotta tell you, man, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. That is too funny after the man mode fisticuffs too. Sheesh. All right. We're just dealing with some Zoom stuff right now. We're trying to figure out what we're doing with the halftime show here, guys. Just give us a moment here. We're gonna let these streams rock as we wait to hear from tourney admins. Go ahead and link up and take a look at the schedule to give us an idea of what we should be doing here. As far as I know, Strange is supposed to be stopping in. I don't know if we gave a hard cutoff time for the 1 o'clock or if it was that we're just going until everybody's done with their current games, but bear with us. A little scuff makes the tournament go around, guys.
It's one of these things. It's the nice thing about the tournament is obviously like we've had to manage this obviously in our own kind of way going through. Like we don't have a spectate feature in game yet. These aren't things that are ready. It's something we've talked to developers about, and hopefully one day we can get a spectate feature with private lobbies where we can just go in and directly watch the action instead of hopping around people's Twitch streams and stuff. But for now, this is kind of what we have to deal with, and I think we're going pretty well with it. There goes the rogue, stamping on the floor there and throwing up a little bit of exasperation there at being cornered in, but did run into
That's
the
a tough
middle
one.
of a fight and literally got in the middle of two separate teams. That was only really going to end one way there, I think. And it's unfortunate again to lose all those consumables without really having the chance to use them, being boxed in by a rogue like that.
Yeah, I mean, well done by the fighter there to run away and lure Porter into that situation where the rogue was stealthed and just waiting to get behind him. And like you mentioned, he boxed him in and got him stuck. So interesting. We've tuned into Solo Rat. I think he's on his main right now for halftime because he's in the solo dungeon, which is not part of the solo run. We will have to check in with them and make sure that they know that it's only in Forgotten Castle. Hansel, one of our top players at the moment, switching over to the longsword, which I really like. I think the longsword is a really fantastic weapon, especially in PvE because it keeps you at a safe distance. And it does a lot of damage with the headshots. That stab is very easy to land.
I just got a
Can
kill on
two-shot.
this guy here, I guess. We're looking on the kill log. This was probably the kill here, and then the archer had to deal with that afterwards. I think that's one of the nice things here with the fighter is that you can just pick up anything, right? I think that makes
Yep.
you incredibly versatile at being able to go through and do these runs where you can go in, maybe you find a Bardiche or a Zweihander or longsword or arming sword or whatever it is you find. The fact that you can have the ability to use that. Oh, that goes down. So that ranger is unfortunately stuck on top of the spiders being juggled around. And along comes Hansel just to put him down safely. Or not so safely, as it would
And
seem.
interesting to see that he's not taking the Pavis. I think most players don't like the Pavis. I myself haven't really practiced it enough to even see it being useful. But I know that we have Orlanthi in this tournament, which we haven't really seen any action from Orlanthi. We haven't heard too much about him. Hopefully we can check in with him in the halftime, see how he's doing, because it's one of the players that most people were trying to keep their eyes on for this run. He's a big proponent of the Pavis and definitely stands by it. Once again, we see So Bad Strange down here in the Inferno, barely clinging to life on his rat rogue, still running
Never
the poison
has
bomb.
any health.
I know, he's almost always dead. He's still got the smoke bomb. He's out of caltrops. Clearly, this has been a tough run for him, but he's got the rapier. He's got the cloth pants. He said he was sticking to this whether he won or lost, and you got to respect it. It's seeming like it may not have ended up as good as he was hoping, but we appreciate the fact. Wait, has he spotted somebody, or is he just aware that we're watching him? Either way, oh no, the centaur room. Yeah, this is obviously
scary.
certain death. Yeah. If that centaur spots him, it's just game over. Okay, the centaur's running down. He's gonna maybe try to get it lured over to where the candles are so that he can jump up and down and fight it, or he just wanted to reset its aggro by running out of the room so that he could sneak around. One of the archers seems to have spotted him, so he's gonna be forced to move out. This is all anything that touches him is gonna kill him. Even one of those gas clouds could probably put him out of his misery at this. It's close. Excellent performances so far. It's unfortunate we haven't been able to see Strange getting too many kills. We saw him get a few in the previous games, but we've seen a lot of high octane action from a few of our players here. And I'm curious to see when we get some clip reports later on at the end of this tournament and after the scores get tallied up, what people have managed to pull off, because Hansel and Hippo have got to be like way ahead of everybody else, with Dank like sort of pulling up the lead. But everyone else has seemed to sort of struggle so far, which is what we expected, by the way. We did not expect anybody to pop off, much less the cleric and the fighter.
I suppose that's the difference, right? For a lot of these other builds, like they do need something to be able to function. They have to get skills, they have to get good weapons. The fighter can just get anything, and then the cleric just needs booze, right? That's it. As long as the cleric has alcohol, that's all that really matters.
But Hippo's not even using the booze. He's just going in with the drinks.
Which I'm so confused about. I'm so confused about how he's doing that much damage without alcohol.
It's the buff from it's because Divine Strike and Bless stack, or Divine Strike and Smite stack. Oh my goodness, Nizori getting a really nice sneak up here.
Oh, Nizori, the panic there, a little bit too set in, I guess, and forced the miss on those arrows, but missing, I believe, every one of the triple shot arrows there, and then the single shot afterwards.
Yeah, you can tell that look on his face. He's not pleased about that one. The rogue kind of spotted it out, looking to follow up with the firebomb. He's in a tough spot right now because there's really only one way out of this room. But he's got his back to the stairs and he's ready to deal with them pushing in. I would suspect it might be a good idea to try to get the door open just in case they start pushing him. He's not going to have enough time to get it open with them on his back. Does decide to back off. Probably hears footsteps on the other side as he approaches Foursquare, getting ready with the bow. Got an arrow knocked back and he's taking some shots. Not checking up in the rafters. Wait, where'd the smoke? Oh, okay. I thought that was a smoke bomb that just popped up behind him, but that was the zone. This is dangerous. He's got to take this very slow. Just kicking himself for missing those shots earlier, and the fighter just rushes into the room.
But it's not going to be
quickly taking him out. Yeah. Oh wait, no, he's still alive, but is he going to be able to survive in the zone? Definitely. He doesn't have any rations on hand. That's gonna take him out. Yeah,
a ration could have made the difference there. You're right, but unfortunately, not having any left. It's one of those things like you have it on whatever class you're playing on. I've had it on Rogue before when I've got up behind them and missed every single hit on a rondel. Even it's the panic can set in when you're there, and then when you're there with a triple shot, you can have no problem hitting that normally. But then the second you're a little bit panicked, players are moving erratically, and there's three of them there. Anything can happen. Yeah. You can end up missing everything.
Why is it though? It's true. Trust. Tell me it's not true. Why is it though in an FPS, which in this situation we're calling this an FPS because he's shooting at somebody? Why is it that when somebody's not looking at you, they are the hardest thing to hit in the world? They could be standing still, looking in a different direction, and it's like you are guaranteed to miss that shot.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's that unpredictability, right, of them just strafing left for whatever reason, right? Because maybe their left leg's a little uncomfortable. I don't know. But those slight bits of unpredictable movement, when someone's coming at you, even if they're trying to kite you, they then become instantly more predictable because that's then a player's input, right? But when they don't know you're there, that's when things often just get a little hectic.
I think trusting your gut in that situation and just taking the shot is usually the way to go. But yeah, I mean, tough run for Nizori. I think in the moment there, it might have been hard to come up with the decision to drop a trap, but that may have been the difference maker. So bad, still hanging on here by a thread, managed to get himself healed up a little bit, taking some shots at a Hell Dog. And we see a couple players back in the lobbies right now, like maybe making some different characters. Hippo looked like he was changing classes, but I'd be surprised if he actually would. Jonah Vale still sticking on to this quarterstaff. Drunk Monk. This is definitely the play for him. He's feeling pretty confident with this. Got a couple kills himself. Ready to jump right back in. We haven't gotten word yet about the halftime, guys. I'm sorry. We're still trying to clear that up. We're not entirely sure. I don't know if our admins are still here, if they can clarify that for us. It looks like we may be missing one. Let me just shoot Vorex a message real quick.
Okay, we're going to follow Jonah in, spawning in the middle room here with all of the consumables there. Probably one of my favorite spawns, honestly, just because you always end up getting a healing potion or, a couple of invis, protection potions, whatever. But that shelf specifically always has a couple of great potions to use. Jonah over there getting a big fat donation there. People clearly enjoying the dark and darker gameplay, which I'm glad that there are so many people enjoying this game. It's and there to support the creators streaming it too. Jonah Vale as well, one of the first to actually stream the game and honored by the devs by having the Tavern Master artwork created around him, which was incredible to see from the developers as well, showing that sort of support towards their community as well.
Yeah, and quick shout out to Iron Mace. They've done such a fantastic job with these playtests, giving us graciously extending the playtest time to give us more time to make up for any errors that they've had so far. They've been really great about feedback from the player base, quickly updating things and fixing bugs that need to get patched that are game breaking. They've just been overall tremendous. in the way that they've handled this game. And I have a great deal of respect for a developer that's willing to stick their necks out there, try new things, do something that people haven't done before. This whole game is very, very impressive. If you're new here and you're just somehow stumbling upon this tournament, you haven't tried the game yet, it is currently free on Steam. Demo has been extended until the 16th, and which time it will end. We'll probably be going back to withdrawals where we're all crying about the lack of Darker until early access.
Real quick, we do have
Oh boy.
we do have an intense 1v1 and just manages to clear it out. That was so close. I was genuinely speechless there for a moment, seeing them both just trading hits. Porter Savage unfortunately missing a few of them, and the Cleric hitting plenty inside there. Now Cleric versus Barb unbuffed really shouldn't be that much of a contest, but it does look like there's a couple there that have had to be taken out. I Make Loud Noises killed Fat Man and also Herman Holy, yeah.
So yeah, 2 kills there for Porter.
We've had 2 back-to-back. Some other interesting games.
That was a little man mode right there. They just kind of both decided they were gonna run at each other in Mouse 1. I respect it. W Mouse 1 as a time-honored tradition since the beginning of the PC era. We all know the feeling. Sometimes you just got to man mode it, and it worked out for Porter. I'm gonna say probably because he had a big old axe and the Cleric's got a little stick.
I did hear earlier some of the remarks made about the unfortunate business of people, gold sellers trying to move into the
yeah, what is
auction
that?
place. I don't know. It's a playtest. I don't know why people would be buying gold for a playtest, but they're in there. They're in the chat. I guess some people are just trying to make real money, and apparently the most of them are in the Barb chat. Somebody turned around with a comment that saying that I guess they know where the idiots are.
we're playing in the stereotypes here, and as we say that as we're saying that, we have a Barb just standing menacingly in the darkness with a war maul in between the axe traps, just like almost issuing a challenge here to Porter, who decides it's better to probably back off with that low HP, which I would tend to agree with. Yeah. Maybe just find a position to extract 2 kills to get out with is going to be a big difference maker, because Porter's already had a rough run as we tuned in the last couple times. They unfortunately fell before they were able to pick anything up. Getting chased down by the Hellbat now. This is very difficult.
There was a player as well, I believe, behind the Hellbat that I think is being pursued by the players right now. So it's going to have to continuously move away. He just does not have the HP to trade here. And unless can get that buff up and kill in like a couple of hits before this potion ends. Other than that, there's just really no way. So here we see Naked Barb going in with the pot. Oh,
wait, what? The Hellbat knocked the potion. Did you see that? Did the Hellbat just knock? He went to go throw the firebomb, and the Hellbat hit his hand as he threw it, and it just literally hit the wall and fizzled out. I've never seen that happen before.
I have never. That was incredible.
How did he not notice? He bumped right into him. He's gonna have to go for the swing here.
Double Barb as well. I think he has to let him pass and then turn around.
Way.
Oh, does it? Just manages it.
They
but
didn't know.
That's gonna aggro the Hellbat again, unfortunately, which is gonna kind of alert the presence of where Porter Savage is going here. But that was a pretty incredible turn of events. Yeah, the Hellbat knocking the flame or the explosive bottle out of the other player's hand there, and then the invisibility managing to drop him out.
I think we call that divine intervention. This might be a cleric player in disguise. That was very lucky. I have never seen something like that in this game, but it just goes to show there's so many weird interactions that you could play this game for 100+ hours and still see new things every day. Running around with very low health here, looking for a chance to extract. Looks like all the loot has been cleared out of this area. The Wraith at nearby spawn. There's always some loot on the floors, some potions and stuff. Very lucky find, though, if he can get past this axe trap here without taking any shots from the skeletons inside. Looks like there are some potions available on this body. Getting chased down by the mummy who gets hit by this.
There's no HP left on this man, and it is.
He's got fear, though. He's got fear. It's okay. He's gonna live for another moment here.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling to watch this right here. I mean, okay, finally a healing pot. Finally a healing pot. Now a stray gust of wind won't knock him down. Ooh, maybe choosing to go for the health shrine here.
That could be big. Yeah, this is definitely a chance for them to turn things around. We are getting some messages here from the admins here. Halftime, it looks like no need to pause the game. Sure, this is okay. Looks like we are actually just going to be skipping halftime, guys. We didn't actually have anything planned for it. It was just something that got mentioned. Strange got 3 kills and is getting some crazy gameplay going on. Let's go ahead and jump over to Strange's channel. Did not see that one coming. 3 kills from the solo rat rogue. Very interested to see. Let's check that kill feed once it finishes buffering up. I do see So Bad Strange up there on the board. This is big. He's got a rapier in hand, looking pretty healthy too. Must have picked up a couple kills on a weaker team here. Rogue having a hard time winning those 3v1s, but look at him just running him down.
Going with those throwing styles and just really laying down damage from range. Might just take the escape here. I don't know. Can't really channel it right now. Oh, there we go. Handy door opened just for free. Gotta appreciate that.
You see he did the little magic flick of the wrist there, and the door just poof exploded. It's a little rogue trick. You might not know about it. It's just you gotta
I think
turn.
it's those little skelly hands. That's what it is. Just
the
prying apart the door frame itself.
Little known fact: if you have the skeleton skin, you can actually command skeletons to break open doors for you.
Oh no!
Way. He gets behind another player.
Doesn't even see it and takes him down.
I've
got caltrops here, and they go down in the choke. Door. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect deployment of those caltrops to slow them down. Again, that is a 50% slow here for 2 seconds, so it's not an absolute snare, but it does put in work to buy you a little bit of distance. Couldn't get the door closed, but again, we're going to see the parkour coming out.
It deals some damage too, so while this person's chasing, he is still getting whittled away at. Not to mention the poison that the rogue has. This is really intense gameplay from Strange. He's doing such a good job of kiting, dropping monster aggro, jumping around, using that parkour like we talked about. The smoke bomb and the caltrops coming out, forcing the fighter into a terrible position if he wants to push through. If the fighter isn't familiar with the map, he's going to run straight into a spike trap and take a ton of damage, but he considers better of it and backs off, looking to lick his wounds and return to his teammate. Strange, obviously hearing him and following up behind, doesn't want to let him fully disengage and heal up. The door did get closed, so it looks like he managed to escape. The fighter quickly turned around and made that decision to disengage. But now they're sitting on the other side of the door. Strange just needs to be careful.
He's out
into a trap. Oh, the barbarian swinging with the big double X. Oh my god, these caltrops and smoke bombs doing so much work.
Honestly, it's pretty incredible. Yeah, just going high move speed. You have the Agi dropping the smoke bombs, and then also the caltrops to slow them down as you just reposition constantly. And I think the nice thing about this too is it is a drastically lower cooldown than the invis itself, right? So you're not having to wait those long cooldowns around like getting that extra damage out of invis and trying to work everything off that. You just have this constant ability to just kite backwards and drop your decoys, if you will, and then push back in again, re-rotate, and as we see, go straight back in for another engage.
This is a huge run from Strange. He's had a lot of tough breaks so far, but 4 kills on the board. Looking to pick up some more. Still ratting it out. Just doing such a great job of running away, escaping using those tools at his disposal. Now spotted a little wizard over here in Foursquare, and all the action seems to be taking place over here. He's getting ready to push in, but he's just considering his options as he sees a ranger in there as well. He needs to be careful traps. He backed off from a barb earlier who could be part of this team. Just sneakily crouching up and down to take some peeks into the door, maybe a little entertainment for the stream here. I think he might be trying to spot if there's anybody sitting up on the chandelier. I can't tell, but it doesn't look like it.
I don't know what this is going to be like for the players on the other side of this door to see just maybe if they did see a skeleton's head just popping up and down repeatedly.
If he was wearing like no helmet too, the skeleton head just
I don't know if they'd be terrified or just assume that it's PvE and not open the door because of it.
Yeah, the skeletons just kind of get stuck on the door. That's just what they do down here. They're a little dumb. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, whatever he's doing here is working out for him as he still hasn't been pushed, but this is ridiculous. 4 kills for a solo rogue. Very impressive this late into the run. He's doing a great job of turning things around as he had a pretty rough start. Probably, okay, he's thinking about extracting. He does have the option to leave now. There's 3:40 left on the clock, and as I mentioned before, staying any later than this is very dangerous. Yeah, good choice to extract there. This is the point where he's going to be forced into 3-men's, and not just any 3-men's, but the 3-men's that are still alive this late into the lobby are probably the dangerous ones. Excellent choice to get out. Didn't make a lot of money because he didn't really get to loot any of those kills.
Banking the kills, though, right? I mean, that's all that really matters, especially this late in the tournament. I mean, at the end of the day, you also have to think of the fact that we've got 30 minutes now left on this tournament. Banking that now can mean going straight back into another game and potentially picking up more kills than he could get, waiting for those last few teams to fight or getting involved there, right? So, like, I definitely think the smart move to try and extract quite quickly as soon as you have a couple of kills on these late round tournaments.
Yeah, it's basically do or die at this point because some of the other players established such incredible dominance early on. We saw Hansel picking up so many kills. Hansel actually switched to Rogue, which I think is quite interesting. He may have lost all of his gear on his fighter, maybe died and lost all his gear, so now he's just kind of trolling around a little bit on a Rogue. He's got the rupture. It looks like Did he just use the torch to apply rupture to somebody?
I don't
I
know.
think he did,
I'm
and
not
it killed
entirely
him. Wait a
sure.
minute, what? No, it didn't kill him. No, that's a different kill from the
That's the
feed. So
wrong.
he actually has
you,
it.
for a second
Yeah,
there, you had me worried to imagine you
I
throwing a
know. I was like,
torch to
but
apply a
but
rupture.
but the thing is, rupture went on cooldown, which it won't do that until it activates. After you use rupture, it'll just stay active until
He
you
might
hit
have done
something.
that. I don't know. Maybe the torch impacting did actually count as a rupture then.
Yeah, I think the torch can do 1 damage if you throw it at people. So what
Okay,
I want to
so
see, my ultimate goal for all these tournaments is I want to see somebody get a torch kill,
can we
and not
get
just
a squad of torch rogues now where rogues just run around with torches trying to
the
kill with
antithesis of
rupture?
stealth. They're just running around with a light
With a
source.
that
They're
sounds
stealth.
incredible.
He's sitting in the smoke bomb with a torch like this. He's just like, nobody can see me in here.
Glowing purple torch ready to go, exactly.
Oh my god, that's amazing. The blue and the purple, yeah, that'd be so good. I really want to see somebody get a kill by throwing a torch. If it does 1 damage, like a flashbang in CSGO, getting a kill with a decoy grenade or something, like a torch. Oh my god, that would be the highlight of the tournament for me.
Apparently we
We've
have
seen some pretty funny
Jonah
stuff.
here on a 4-kill game as well currently.
4 kills. All right, turning things around. Jonah had some rough starts, jumping to classes a couple times there. Wasn't sure what he wanted to do. Looks like this drunken cleric thing worked out for him. Although right now I don't see any ale on the bar. He's just
There we
currently
go.
at a morning star. Okay, there's the staff coming out. Gonna start. Go ahead and buff up. Pull out the divine strike. Get the protection. Get the bless.
Trying to back
Smite
up
as well.
enough here as well, I think, to make sure that the audible range isn't too bad when starting this stuff, so you don't waste a ton of those spells here whilst they know where you are. Okay, now we get to go toe to toe versus the barbarian here, and this is where we really see the strength of the drunken
Oh
cleric.
no!
But unfortunately, what was that? That was the battle axe took him down. I'm not sure what the other player was using. But it
He's
missed a couple of
still.
swings there as well, and very, very sadly, I was a fighter. Yeah, I think it was possibly using arrows there from the fighter, and yeah, missed a couple of swings on the barbarian, and really had some struggles with that.
Critically, some of those swings actually connected with like the barbarian's arm,
Yeah,
and you could see because they were so close with one another, it was really difficult for him to land the headshots, which is what he was going for. The Morningstar deals a little bit more damage than the Flames Mace per hit. With the buffs and smite and all that, he could be doing like 60, 70 more damage per headshot. But unfortunately, missing a couple of those headshots is very critical against a barbarian like that, where they can still deal like 60, 70 damage a swing with body shots with the battle axe, which is almost impossible to miss when they're in hugging distance. Barbs, I don't know if you know this, but barbs just really love hugs.
yeah.
They just want to
I
get in
felt that
close
way.
and just give you a hug with an axe. It's like you have a cat. It's like giving a cat a hug.
That's what the hook's for, right? On the axe, as far as I was
Right,
aware.
yeah,
To
exactly,
pull
yeah.
people in for a little cuddle, you know?
Yep. That's why it's shaped like that. It's not because it's better at cutting wood like that or
No.
it reinforces the blade. It's so you can get behind them and pull them in and get real close and personal with them and tell them how you feel, which is that you want them dead. And then, a few seconds later, you just leave their corpse behind and point proven. So Jonah having a tough run there. Definitely some
That was a 4-kill
frustration.
game as well. That was a 4-kill game.
Oh, that was a
from what we
4-kill
told
game that
as
he
well, so
lost.
that is a
Oh,
very sad
no.
one there. Oh, we have Dark RNG here as well.
Yeah, Dank picking up another kill just as we tuned in, finishing off somebody with a fireball. Not sure if it was part of the team that he wiped out earlier. We see 2 other kills in the feed there. Having a little bit of an issue here with the stream quality, but that's okay. A barb stuck in what looks like a hunter trap while being chased down by the champion. The gate's going to get closed, but that swing will clip through the wall, and that barb is probably very low. Dank's got to be thinking about getting over there, maybe popping haste, and immediately jumping to the other side to hopefully finish off those kills. Nobody, you may want to refresh the page of the. I don't know if it's the
It's
stream.
definitely going a little rough there. Yeah, we'll try and give that a little refresh. Wait, Twitch is slowing it down. It's a shame because we're right in the middle of the fight. Let's see if we can get the buff it in finally.
Yeah, it looks like after you left full screen, it cleared up. But taking a lot of hits as he's trying to push through the axe traps, almost dropping there. Very smart from the Ranger to force the hits there. Is the Ranger going to predict the run through the door? No, he manages to get away with the stealth. That could have been very dangerous. If the Ranger was 200 IQ, he probably would have dropped there. But going in for a drink and a meditation to get some of these spells back, if they push him right now, he is basically as good as dead. But that axe trap's going to slow that down just a little bit, maybe giving him enough time to back off. They, of course, are not sure how low he is either. That's one thing about Dark and Darker is that you can never be sure how low your opponent's HP is. No matter how many times you think you hit them or how many hits they took from traps or monsters, you can never be sure. So sometimes pushing is not great, even if you think your opponent's low, because they could be like half HP, take a trade with you and win the fight. Enemy team backing off, just deciding to play things safe, which is a very common strategy in the Forgotten Castle. When all these crazy fights break out towards the end of the game, you want all the healing supplies you can get. Smart choice, I think, from both sides. And it's coming up to the rotunda here. This is a great place to rotate around and find a different spot, different vantage point to take fights over at Foursquare. You know, he can wrap around, go in there to the main treasure room, try to lure the skeleton champion, which actually looked like it was already pulled into Foursquare, but maybe the Wraith is still available. Wizards are very good at using haste and invis to lure PvE to their advantage. And we saw, I think, Dank himself trying to use that strategy earlier while he was getting chased by some players in that very room.
Hey, ooh, okay, and here comes the Wraith. It can be a really good room, you know, but it can also be a horrible room. If they wrap around either side of you and you're trapped down there, again, we see a nice little bit of use here with the torch, as we've seen Sobat deploy a few times here, just using it to completely block the mages off, or the melee units off, I should say. It's one of these things that feels especially bad when you're playing on a melee class and you see all this stuff that these range classes can do without any sort of hindrance, and you're sat there as a rogue with a little dagger. Or
well, I've actually found the Wraith is fairly easy to deal with as a rogue, with poisons and rupture, or even with weak point, because you can
keep tagging it.
you can lure them up to one of these pillars, and they basically can't hit you as long as you keep kiting around, and you can sort of bait them to use their charge attack, which has a long recovery.
And here we
so
have a player.
You can get a free attack.
And that's a fireball directly to the shield, possibly. I'm not sure.
Looks
Trying
like
to turn around and run. Looks like the fighter's going to close the door here. And fireball is going to make short work of that, turning it into kindling in front of him. As the fighter drops down. Now, is Dank going to jump down here? I don't know. This is
dangerous. Yeah, without a torch to throw down there to see exactly what's going on, he could be in a lot of trouble. But he can also wait here
risky.
and try to push down. Yeah, he can hook around the corner and maybe try to find that fighter. But there are a bunch of skeletons there that give away the position of the fighter. It looks like the fighter did run away. But again, yeah, if he falls into that room, the skeleton turns on him. The fighter turns on him.
There, you know, as we saw earlier, those spiders can really juggle a player, right? So gotta be careful with that.
Not to mention they are so relentless. I mean, look at how far that one chased him all the way up into this room. They have such a long aggro range, and they will just stay on you until they die or until you get out of the range. It can be really inconvenient. It can get people killed. I've seen clips of people dying in Foursquare because they get surrounded by the spider mummies and High Roller and just get completely melted by 3 spider mummies while they're in a fight. And it's basically, you're just screwed if they're on you. You have to turn your attention to them. It gives the other player complete freedom to just start attacking you.
Fireball straight over the top of the fence there to try and push this off. Doesn't even break the protection potion, though. That must be a very strong protection potion.
Blue protection potion does not block magic damage, so Fireball will not break the pot because it doesn't interact.
Of course. I was just thinking, like, how is he taking this damage? It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, so for those who aren't aware, Cleric has a protection spell which protects against all damage, but the blue potions that you buy from the merchant and loot in game do not protect from magic damage. They only prevent physical damage.
Yeah.
So things like rogue poison, wizard spells, judgment from cleric, those things will go right through the blue protection potion. So keep that in mind in your future endeavors when you're fighting against those classes, and just remember that pre-potting in those situations may not save you from your demise in that situation.
Oh,
Rogue was hiding in the wings.
But the poison's on. The poison's on, and there's a wraith behind, and there it is.
Oh no! He gets picked off by the rupture. It wasn't the poison; it was the rupture. 20 damage over 4 seconds, over 5 seconds. Sorry, was enough to finish him off. That was such a close run. He even spotted the rogue out a little early, but he gave the rogue too much time to close the distance before he started shooting at him. I think he was running low on spells there and just didn't have the right call at the right time. Rogue gets up just in time to stab him. And yeah, the classic. Rogue dies, you die with him. That's a tough one.
Oh, looks like we have Nozori here and a ranger on ranger battle as well. You can see the amount of archer. Oh wait, there's an archer behind Naz as well, I guess. Not entirely sure what's happening here.
I don't think he's realized yet. There is an archer behind him shooting at him. The triple shot coming out from the enemy ranger, just turning the corner in time to get the shot. No, he's not going to be able to get it. He's
Just
getting shot.
and trapped in
Yeah.
between whatever other archer was behind there, skeleton archer, or I'm not exactly sure what, but that was an incredibly rough situation to be in for sure.
I think he may have realized it because he kind of pointed over his shoulder there while he was in the middle of that. But yeah, that's a tough one, no doubt. Uncle Struggle running the lobby over there on Hanzel's channel. Nothing really happening at the moment. Rat TV and a loading screen, Hippo loading screen. Looking over here to Porter, who picked up 2 kills in the last lobby. I think we
In a
saw them
very
escape
sneaky
as well.
location as well.
Yeah, the rats in the rafters for sure. This is definitely a little so bad strange technique here, sitting up in Foursquare up above the chandelier. This is a spot that even though all the lights are on, players are unlikely to see him because you just really don't turn your attention to the ceiling very
Just
often.
too
So
high up. Yeah, for sure.
unless you're familiar with this spot, you're probably not going to spot this player. And even then, he could just pop an invis pot and chill there when he hears players coming and then drop in at the right time to get a few kills.
We send you over real quick. An issue. Okay, you've drunk an invis potion.
Did we lose Zoom again?
I'm just ending it now so the 10-minute timer doesn't screw us over again, which shouldn't be happening because I've already done the upgrade, but that's okay. That's fine.
All right. Just Zoom things. We pay for the upgrade. Zoom says screw you. You get a timer anyway.
Yeah, I thought, you know what, we'll get this paid for so we can have a nice experience for you guys here on stream, and we don't have to. And Zoom was like, you know what, no, you don't get this yet, I guess, and that's all fine.
Probably have to like log out of the account or something, log back into it.
Maybe you're not loaded in just yet.
No, I haven't gotten the link from you yet.
Did you not get in, or did I not? I didn't post it. Okay, great. There you go.
All right, cleaning things up once again. Jump back in. The man of the cloth, back in action. I don't know if you guys can actually even tell that I'm wearing currently a monk.
Yeah, we have myself here as usual in the rogue RP, but then we also had our host here, Odin, jump in full cleric attire to try and match the whole tavern vibes here for our showcase.
Put the hood on.
Oh,
Pull up my drunken monk mug right here. It's just water, guys. Not drinking while I cast.
I've got my old clay cup with me today. We don't, and it's green, so I get slightly green screen. So probably not the best choice. All right, Porter Savage going in for an invis pot, waiting for his prey to approach. I'm gonna actually leave you guys to Odin here for just 2 minutes, as I need to drink an invis potion myself.
Yeah, so if Porter has been patiently waiting, he must have heard some footsteps. We've been keeping the streams muted just so that we don't have any DMCA issues in case players are playing stream music. Another thing that we will put forth as evidence to why we need to get private lobbies for the future is so that we can actually get better spectators for you guys, and we don't have so many moments of just staring at a player, staring at a floor. We'll actually be able to see what's going on, maybe get a map with some action to see where the players are throughout. But for now, this is what we've got, and this is what we're working with. Porter patiently waiting for an opportunity to get a kill. I'm not sure if I could sit in one spot for this long to wait, but he must hear somebody very close by that he's convinced he can get the kill on, so just waiting to get the drop. We've seen this pay off for a few other players where they just sit in one spot and wait. But we're going to hop over to Tiger Us, who is also playing a rogue at the moment. Oh, no, as we jump over, actually, Tiger Us was maybe watching a bot or something. We tab back in, taking a 1v1 with a cleric. This is actually rogue favored, but it looks like Tigerus was caught off guard and the cleric was probably pre-buffed. Tigerus not fully healed up. The cleric is going to go ahead and back off, and the door close is going to come through, but it doesn't matter because rogue can open it up, lickety split. And not to mention that the Hellbats are right on top of him. He's retreating into the spawn room. This is a dangerous spot for him to chase into, but if he can take it nice and slow, Tigress could pace this fight out, play the footsies, step in and out of the swing range of the cleric. Cleric really has a hard time dealing with Rogue's maneuverability, especially because of how linear the swings are from the mace. The door close comes out, both players doing a little bit of a handshake here as they decide to heal up before they re-engage one another. The cleric closing the door there was actually kind of double play there because it forced the aggro to drop the Hellbat, switching back to the Rogue. But as soon as the door opened back up, the Hellbat decided to change his mind. Rupture or weak point getting used on the Hellbat, so he needs to be careful here because that skill is down. And the Monk may have Judgment or Smite or something similar available. Really playing this smart by staying in that room and forcing the door closed. Every single time he does that, one of these Hellbats pushes back in. And he's trying to cast some spells on him, and Tigerus hears that in the middle of it. Couple of swings bonking off the wall there, but quickly dodging out of the way of these cleric swings, only getting hit twice so far. The bleeds are stacking up, and the poisons are going to finish off. Why not? Actually, that rapier head body shot is going to do it, but taking a lot of damage in the process. Very, very close fight. Very well played from Why Not there, but Tigerus getting the better of him. Just using that rogue's speed and range to keep out of danger from the cleric. Still a close fight nonetheless.
Yeah, and it was really good awareness there, Odin, of Tigerus to open that door when he did. He heard on the other side of the door what the cleric was doing and made that approach at the right time. So that was a really good call.
Yeah, he heard the spell casting and caught the cleric with his staff out, staring up to the heavens, asking God for help. And God said, "You're on your own, buddy. This is not one of the men that God sent to cleanse the dungeon." Oh, it looks like this might have been another person that the cleric picked off, or it could have been a teammate. They struggled a little bit with the bat room. Who knows? The stories that we could tell. Tigress now picking up 2 kills in this lobby, looking for a third here as a fighter approaches the room. But this is looking like a heavily armored player sitting up behind whoever this is up front. So they need to be careful. The mummies are going to wake up and aggro. This player doesn't know that he's there. This is a free jump. There's some haste coming out from a wizard nearby, but this could get really hairy really quick. If a fireball gets launched right at the feet, it could take out Tigress. Knowing that he's in a lot of danger, goes ahead and back off, and now they're going to look for a reset here. Taking a little bit of time, just waiting for an opportunity. He saw that both the players got chased off by a mummy. The door's closed here, so that mummy might turn around. But no, the invis, very smart, very good awareness here to know that the wizard actually dropped an invis to sneak around. Tigera staying on top of the plays on the enemy team and knowing what the opponents can do. Very smart. I would have just walked right past that and assumed that the wizard got out the door and closed it and turned back around. But he was smart enough to know that the wizard was still there waiting for him. Arcane, do I have you with me?
You do, yeah. It looks like he's going to take a little break to reset, de-aggro those bats, and just kind of hang out in that corner.
This is a good spot to chill too, because there's so many spots for a rogue to not only hide with stealth, but also just by sitting in the darkness. However, it doesn't look like he's running the hidden utility belt, which is a kind of a costly slot on a character like Rogue that really needs all its passive talents. So you can still spot a rogue if they're just chilling in the darkness while their potion's on their belt.
I've returned. My invis potion has expired.
All right. Appreciate you stepping in, Arcane. Guys, if you aren't aware, potions, there's a lot of little things about this game that you may not be aware of until you played it a decent amount. But potions, while they are on your utility belt, will show up in the dark. So Rogue has a perk that allows them to hide things on their utility belt, which lets them stay hidden in the dark while they have their potions on their belt. But because of the other talents that Rogue has, it's kind of a tough call whether or not that's actually worth taking. As we jump over here into Zori, seems to have switched once again, now on Barb, using that penetration and the shout there, just going in ham with the quarterstaff. Does pick up 1 kill with the quarterstaff, but the Rogue is chasing him down with the firebomb. Manages to land one of those Francisca axes to slow him down. Lands another one. This could be huge if he can connect with that third one. He might be able to create some space, but that Rogue is in relentless pursuit, and all it's going to take is 1 or 2 stabs. Yeah, that poison might finish
but no,
off.
managing to do okay. I don't think the Rogue has poisoned weapons, actually. I'm not sure. I didn't see the green glow, and we don't have any damage over time coming, so managing to get that quick crouch jump over there again. Little tip for a lot of you guys: if you jump and then crouch, it does allow you to get a little bit more height, obviously, bringing your legs up. So managing to get over the ledge there using the little crouch jump and space from that Rogue. And now we're going to go for that healing shrine. So great little bit of pathing here from Nizori.
Yeah, nice and patient walking through the traps. They're not wasting any time to get over here to the shrine to get healed up. He could head right back in and take the fight if he's feeling confident. He does have an invis potion. I don't know if he has his protection potion handy. But yeah, I mean, picking up a kill, getting out of that situation, really big plays.
A little sigh of relief there after picking up the heal there. Yeah. That was definitely a stressful situation to be in, and Naz did super well at avoiding death there.
Close call, picking up that green padded tunic. Nice little armor up there for Barbarian. Great if you're not running the perk that gives you extra damage. If you're not running a chest armor, which it looks like he is running Smash. Or actually, he's not. He's running. Oh, okay. He saw the rogue go stealth.
And there's
Now we see the
Rupture, but there it
Rupture.
is. That's it. That's all it takes. Again, the Barb closing in on full health, and that poison doesn't do a whole lot to a Barbarian just with the ridiculous amount of health that a Barbarian has there. Managing to tank that, no problem. I actually think the Rogue seemed to die there with it still active, so I don't know if the Rogue managed to get the Rupture off before he unfortunately took the swift side strike from the quarterstaff to the ribs.
Well, Nozori did take a little bit of damage there, but I don't know if that was because he just had health missing from the Restoration Shrine, if it didn't heal him all the way, or if he did take a hit.
Ooh,
But
a
like you
second
mentioned, they
party.
have. Ooh, this could be dangerous. Yeah, we saw some pre-buffing going on right there, so they're definitely ready for his approach. He's going to go ahead and back off and let those buffs wear out, maybe find a better vantage point for this fight.
Does have a bandage here as well, but if this bandage is one of the cheap ones, we're going to see Nozori's health bar barely move here off this.
Yeah.
And okay, must have been a relatively decent one because it has managed to actually chunk up a little bit there on the health pool. Grabs one of the spare axes out of the wall. There's another one there on the left. If you can grab that too, that would be pretty big because those Francesca axes are really huge in combat, being able to slow down your opponent in a pretty major way.
He also didn't get a chance to loot any of the players in this room. That he did kill one. It looked like another fell to PVE, but he didn't get a chance to kill to loot any of those players. So if he can clear out some of these monsters and get back in there, he might be able to loot up. But we are coming up, guys. There's only 10 minutes left in the official run. I believe Strobad just jumped into the channel with us to watch the ending of this tournament. But at this point, it's all or nothing. Players that are behind need to just kind of pull out all the stops and go straight aggro for some of these kills because they don't have a whole ton of time left. Nozori extracting with a handful of kills, maybe going to rack them up. We've only seen a few from Nozori, but we haven't been able to keep eyes on every streamer at all times, so we'll have to check those tallies. I know that we have a couple players that we've been keeping our eyes on. Hanzo, Dank, Hippo have all been at the top of the leaderboards the entire time, and they are the players to watch, and they are the players to catch.
I actually came in here because I think I'm done with my runs because I'm pretty sure I won. I put 5 kills up during the tournament. How did I fare? Did I get first?
I don't think so. I
kills. Do
I
you
feel-
have 5 kills per lobby?
Yeah, I feel like we've had people that have got kills. Yeah, that many kills in one lobby. Yep.
Yeah, we had this may come as a surprise to you, Strange. I don't know if you've been able to watch the stream at all while you've been busy. I would assume not. But we actually had a Hippo raid, a solo cleric player. I think might be our winner for this tournament. We've
seen multiple just straight 1v3s with Hippo charging in and just dropping people.
He had 2. I think he had back-to-back 6-kill lobbies.
Wow, in one lobby, he got more than I got in the entire tournament. Oh, no. Yeah.
Hanzel, also playing fighter, also winning a couple 1v3s, consistently getting 2 to 3 kills per run. We're actually looking at him right now facing off against a couple players stuck in Pyramid Room behind some traps. And they are in a tough spot because they're going to have to push into him. But for whatever reason, he decided to switch to Rogue. I don't know if maybe he wiped and lost all of his gear on his fighter and decided to hop over to Rogue. But while we were watching him play Rogue, we also saw him pick up a few kills. He's engaged in a 1v1 right now with the cleric. It's only going to take 1 bonk. Oh, that's
Can't quite finish it off.
Can we get a bonk in chat, guys? That was it. Just one right on the noggin to take him out. Close one, though.
There was a very aggressive move there, baiting the warrior out through the little maze of traps before jumping over to get it right at the cleric in the back. It was certainly a bold strategy to take.
Yeah, we're coming up. Like I said, we're on the last stretch here, basically the last run that anybody's going to be able to get in for the entire tournament. But we have seen some players who had a really bad start. For example, Jonah Vale did not get any kills on his wizard, and things just weren't going his way. Couldn't get any kills on the barb either. Swapped over to cleric, doing the drunken monk, and has been doing fantastic, getting a couple kills per. If we look at the kill board right now, putting 1 up in this current lobby.
Unfortunately, here's a barb. A barb and another barb with 2 axes. This is a bad place to be jumping into, but still. Oh, okay, I was gonna say he took no damage until he took all of the damage.
Yeah,
that was a nasty thing to jump down into a dual wielding barbarian and a felling axe there on the barbarian. That was definitely not what you want to hop into. I think that's probably the definition of a meat grinder.
That was a blender for sure. When he jumped over the rail and the other barb was there, I think in his mind he thought, "Oops,
Oh, and there was a rogue there somewhere too, I guess. Wait, but that rogue isn't in their party. Oh, it's another fight between these
the
guys.
skeleton.
Okay.
Did he get tricked by the skeleton skin? That's what everybody wants to know. He's like, ooh, skeleton.
As interesting as that fight would be, I'm sure that is not any of our contenders right now. We have 5 minutes left. I don't think any of our contenders here are looking necessarily to get right back into another one here. We do have Hippo here who's still in a raid, so I guess we'll hop over to Hippo here.
No kills on the board. No kills on the board currently for Hippo, but there are some players nearby, and this may be... It looks like there's actually a fight going on right now as somebody picked up a kill with the double axe there. Not sure if they're currently engaged with each other. There's a hunter trying to set up a trap. Jumps on him.
Oh, and the wizard coming through with the magic missile, but being cut off there. Jumps over the trap into a dead end. Back over the trap. Has definitely taken trap damage here. Absolutely has to have. Ooh, okay. Tried to commit to the magic missile, but it just didn't take the damage home, unfortunately. And Hippo manages to push through it there and instantly heal up.
Yeah, with low gear, he definitely needs the headshots from those magic missiles, and Hippo just wasn't giving it to him. Also forcing him into a bad position by cornering him there. I mean, that was smart from the wizard to pull out the magic missiles, but Hippo immediately recognized that he's using the missiles, picking up a blue spear, or sorry, a purple spear for that. Unfortunately, not able to use that as a cleric, but finds a nice little pendant for himself as well. It doesn't really matter because this is coming up on the end of the tournament, but 2 more kills to help him solidify his lead, and a rogue sneaking up behind him.
Rogue, we've got a Custodian dagger here and a Rondel dagger going in to try and stack up that poison damage, but just taking too many hits. The poison steadily ticking off, but lesser heal comes through just in time to make sure that can't be lethal. And that's another kill on the board here, so Hippo is really going to want to be looking to extract here. And again, I do honestly think at this point, Hippo will be a very serious contender for our winning position here.
That was a really close fight for Hippo. Off the double kill from the headshots as well. Now, Hippo Raid, for those of you who don't know, is the pocket healer for Ken Nabi, the rank 1 or 2 wizard in the world, the biggest wanted murderer, are out and about, and this is his pocket healer, so it's nice to see him trying something new and still being able to pick up a lot of kills.
Certainly was a close one with that rogue. Let this be a lesson to you rogue players. You got to pick your fights a little more carefully. He kind of just went for the DPS race there because he saw a cleric and he's like, oh, tasty little healer. I can just finish this guy off. But Hippo was still rolling off of a few buffs there, had some heals handy, managed to get the bonks in to finish it off. Rogues are very good at dealing with clerics because the cleric's attacks are so slow and linear. But that rogue really just wanted to man mode it up. So keep that in mind when you take these fights in the future. Picking up a purple spellbook. Wait a minute. That wizard was actually decked out. I thought he was low gear by the damage he was doing. But he's got a purple spellbook and all this gear.
Tournament end or not, this is still gear that's going to be useful to sell after the tournament here for the rest of the playtest. So, no complaints there.
Wasn't that a purple rondelle as well?
I think it might have been. And a purple spear. These were some very, very juicy boys. Purple crossbow
against very geared players, guys. This is what it just goes to show you. All it takes is being good at the game, and you can outplay. These guys had like 1,500 gold or 2,000 gold worth of gear between the 3 of them. That was ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Now, Hippo's
and again, taken down by a single drunken cleric. That's got to feel bad. That's got to be a humbling moment for your party of 3. When you get purple gear, you go in bold as brass, expecting to just dominate the lobby, and you get killed by a drunkard with a morning star.
Yeah, as Strange mentioned, there's only 2 minutes left though. But I imagine after getting those kills and having all that gear on him, he is immediately looking for the very next portal out of here. So I can't imagine he's going to be cutting any closer than he can. But we're coming up on the final minute of the tournament here, guys. This is the countdown to see who's going to finish things off. We know that Hippo's been huge and had so many kills ahead, and if he can bank these points, this may very well be what he needs to win the tournament, but there stands a team in his way, and he's immediately considering finding a different direction to run, and he knows he has to find something else. Getting caught by a trap there as he's navigating through the maze. Only a few seconds left on the clock. Can he get out of there with this loot? I'm sure at this point he'll be happy just to get out with that, but man, these extra points could be what wins him the tournament. Does he know he's running out of time?
I don't know. The pressure could be sitting in. Maybe we go ahead here and we give a little motivation. 1 minute left.
Chat is letting him know we're coming down to the final seconds here. He's got just under 20 seconds left. He has to get out. We see the encouragement there, guys. We did start like a few seconds late, so we're gonna see if we can get him out of here. I would love to see him extract here, but man, there's a blue portal currently being guarded by players, and he has so
I
much
don't know.
gear. The pressure's on.
The buffs
Is
are
he gonna
there.
push
Has to
and
get
just
in
take the
now.
fight?
Has to get
He's
in now
doing it.
and extract. And the barb. Follow up
He
or
picked
take
off-
the extract.
No way. He got a kill onto the rogue. Now he's going in on the cleric. A little holy on
Offset
holy
down.
violence here.
Protection is going to come out here. I'd say there's
This is so
seconds left in
dangerous.
this. You got to kill this barb and then take that blue portal if you want to stand a chance here.
Can he block the hit? He does, but a heal coming out from the cleric. The pocket healer behind him is going to save him.
Don't know
All
if
it's
that's
going to
gonna be
take is
enough.
one more hit, and he's stacked into a corner. Can he get away? He just needs one more swing to finish off the bar, maybe two.
Oh!
Swing from the overhead's going to take him out. Not only does he lose out on those points, but all that gear. What a tragic end for Hippo. He just couldn't find his way out. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the 0 to Hero solo tournament. What an absolute banger this was.
That is a tragedy at the end, but you kind of love to see it.
It's content.
All the rainbow quality of gear is now on the ground for the barbarian and the cleric. The
Man.
rogue dying, but geez, he put in some work with what he had.
Hello, Nazori. Thank you for the raid there as well. We'll just get over these raids on here as well. Serious Marine as well. Thank you for the raid too. You guys, incredible tournament there from all of you involved. Again, we have Vaynard in here saying 16 total. Doomed ended up with 21. Nazori, do you know what your kill count was as well to add to the list? These will all be totaled up, guys, and a winner will be announced shortly. 2, Naz. It was more than 2. Was it not more than 2? I'm sure we spectated multiple kills on you. Or did you not? Did you not extract them? Was that the problem? You got
This was
3.
not the way.
Died channeling. Sad times. Legit mid channel. Oh, that's so rough. That's so rough.
Yeah, I think
setback after setback. That's what we saw. We saw you struggle a few times with some of these things. We saw you get some great plays out, some great kills, but So Bad was just, I think So Bad wasn't even trying to win. I think he was just trying to parkour the whole time, jumping off on every single rat spot he could. Not competing, just trying to prove that he wins the parkour trophy.
He was he was submitting his highlight reel for X Games. Dude.
I was gonna ask if there's some sort of subsidiary award, like best jump tech or maybe like style points by chance.
I'll give you a cold ale next time you're in the tavern. Okay, how's that sound?
You certainly have one of the highlights of the tournament from one of the 4-man, 5-man kill that you got while avoiding literally everything. That was a blast to watch. Mm-hmm. But I think the other funny thing was that we also we tuned into you when you were doing some crazy parkour stuff, and it was really fun to watch. But we also tuned into you 1 or 2 times where for some reason you were 2 health in Inferno, and we were like, "Are we just? Is this just what we're gonna see?"
We have effortless mountain here. I nominate So Bad Strange for the best escape of the tourney. Jumped into a red portal with low health and no healers and made it out of Inferno. Every single time, So Bad, we tuned into your stream. You had no health left, none. Every single time we clicked on you, you were 0 health, just diving and dodging everything you could.
Yeah, my chat's saying I should get the rat award. They were typing in chat #controlling Inferno. It's a new movement. You got to go down there and make it out alive with absolutely nothing. I had all the gear I needed to win the tournament. I got quite a few blues, a purple rapier at one point, and it just didn't work out. But there's so many people. This is open to the public, and we do this every wipe. So join us next time when the game goes to early access, if not sooner, and we'll have another 0 to Hero on the way.
We don't have the tournament winner just yet, unfortunately. But when we have that in, we'll announce it through there on the announcement channel and the Eclipse Discord, I imagine, and also the Dark and Dark Discord there too. We might even do next tournament. We might even have some follow up kind of rewards or whatever prizes for some kind of other best in show type creators and stuff when we go through and do this stuff. And again, hopefully that comes down in the future where maybe we get access to finally to the private lobby system where we can actually pit creator against creator, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun with that.
And keep in mind that this tournament was sponsored by the stream team, the Inquisition, and we have $50 in prizes to give out to you, chat, for the best submitted clips. So if you highlighted your favorite content creators, submit those clips inside the Eclipse Discord, and the judges are going to choose 2 of their favorites, and we'll give 25 United States dollars out to each winner of the Clips Awards. We got some cool stuff, right? The Eclipse Clips are coming in hot.
Fantastic. That sounds incredible. And again, a great way for you guys who are enjoying watching your streamers play, or through here on the tournament as well. A great way for you to get a little bit of reward there for supporting your streamer and supporting the tournament. Again, Dark and Darker is a relatively new game, but it's receiving a hell of a lot of support. And finding ways that we can help give you guys a little something for doing that is only kind of what we're after, right?
Yeah. So honestly, now that we've seen the whole tournament through, I gotta say, I think everybody's a little surprised by the fact that the fighter and cleric were like the two big ones that we watched. Now, of course, we didn't get to see everybody's stream. Keep in mind, guys, there are a lot of people playing in this tournament, and we didn't get to see everybody's stream. It's just too many people to jump through. Unfortunately, until we have spectator tools, this is just kind of how things got to get done. It's like Twitch rival style. We do what we do. But very surprised to see the top performers from the players that we watch. I'm interested to see what the reports are for the scores from the other players that were in this that we didn't get to see. And I would love to see the VODs and highlights. There were some really interesting things that players are doing. Love to see them moving from So Bad Strange to see, just to show people how elusive you can truly be. Some very powerful 1v3s from Hippo to show that the cleric isn't a joke class. They can still perform on their own. There's just so many things that came out of this tournament that we're going to be talking about for weeks to come, especially as we suffer with the withdrawals from the Dark and Darker playtest ending. Keep your fingers crossed that we get playtest we get our next playtest a little early, if not early access a little early. But man, what a tournament. This has been a lot of fun. Really appreciate everybody that was working in the back end. Shout out to all of our tourney admins, Arcane and Vorex in the back there, keeping things running smooth, keeping us on top of all the action so that we could see the players that were popping off and keep things interesting. We hope you guys enjoyed this format, and we hope to make this thing better in the future. Nomad, fantastic job with all the assets and everything. This looked great. It was fun to stream with y'all.
Thank you for joining me here as a co-host there as well. Obviously, the last couple of these I've done myself, and then with Sobad as well, handling a lot of the background stuff and joining in the casting. But I feel like we very much stepped it up this time in terms of the production level and stuff. We had some minor hiccups along the way, but we're still working through everything. But I'm definitely liking where we're going, and I hope that the next tournaments we can bring you guys will only be even better.
All right, so I think we're ready to wrap things up here. Strange, did you have any post show plans? Did we want to see some people in chat asking if we're doing like a roundtable thing? We did talk pretty at length before in the pregame show, so I think we're about ready to wrap things up. But if there's anything left that we want to get done, let me know.
Just make sure you guys get.
I mean, we've got a couple of the big streamers still in the Discord. Why don't we all drop down and have a quick roundtable and just hear from some of the top dogs in the kennel, like Jonah Vale, Rat TV, Zanzibars, and Hippo Raid. So let's pull them all up, and we'll have ourselves a little roundtable, maybe just 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll talk shop, and then we'll head off for some more content from the content factories.
Sounds good to me. Let's jump down to the roundtable.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll hop on down.
What's going on? How's everybody feeling after that?
Hello.
It's good.
I'm feeling good. Make sure you guys get your Twitch mods and whatnot to post your scores in that forum. I'm still waiting for all of your points to be in there. So I will close the forum eventually, but I'm just waiting.
Oh, do we put that in ourselves?
You will need to put them in there. Yes, someone will need to. Whoever kept track of your points for you.
I got it.
So I want to talk first, Hippo. I think you might be the star of the show on this one, just because we were talking a little bit about how cleric. There was a discussion back and forth about whether or not cleric was viable in solo, and you certainly showed that, at least against the average rabble, that cleric certainly can get things done. We didn't see any crazy coordinated teams rushing you down, and I'm curious to see how you'd handle that. And I hope next time we get one of these solo tournaments, we get a chance to see that. But that crazy play at the end was a heartbreaker to watch you die as you were trying to extract after you wiped out a very geared team 3v1. Really exciting stuff. How did the tournament play out for you? How'd you like the runs?
It was such a roller coaster, to be honest. The beginning, like my first raid dying right away, and then coming back and hitting the second round. I just got a bunch of money, and I went big on an invisible pot in a wraith room, and these two guys came in with perps and blues, and I just crushed them with the aggro and murked them solo when they weren't ready for it because I jumped down from on top. Honestly, it's been so back and forth. But yeah, don't underestimate clerics, especially when they're fully buffed. Will mush your face every
Good to
time.
know.
Yeah,
What's
we
the
saw
buffs?
far too many people
I
just
knew cleric was gonna
absolutely
come in.
disrespect,
I
walk
knew
straight
it.
up to you, little rogues, poison daggers at the ready. You think, oh, here's a cleric in cloth, and they walk up to you and then instantly just find out that there's about 100 new ways they can bend.
Oh
People put
yeah.
too much disrespect on cleric. It's dark horse for sure. It's dark horse
Mhm.
for sure.
I mean, it's
Cleric's
hard
the
to
best
notice that,
class.
right? It's not a very visually like obvious thing. You have the you have the protection buffs obviously there, which you can see with the green haze around. But in general, you see somebody in cloth, and it's not like immediately obvious that they're buffed up to hell. Now, obviously, there's the audio cues there where you can listen to this stuff, but I think the visuals for the skill effects and stuff in Dark and Darker aren't all that obvious, right? So you really have to pay special attention.
It's fun because he's flexible, like he can do all that type of stuff and then be like a damage dealer as well.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
It is
I roll it with Hippo. Let me tell you, people dive the cleric and because it's cleric, and they instantly regret it every time.
Baynard, how'd your runs go?
Pretty good. I kind of had to slow down because I had that submission error thing. I don't know what really happened, but it's all good. But first run died. Second run, I picked up a green Y-hander right away, and even though I don't like this Y-hander, but I got in a fight. I cut 2 big fights in open rooms, which were huge, and it was kind of good from there. But towards the end, I started to throw.
Yeah, the pressure is all on towards the end of the tournament there. I saw a lot of players like kind of scrambling. There were some players that started out with really rough starts. Like we saw Jonah had a tough start and Azoria had a tough start, but then kind of turned around with some changes later on. Any particular moments that stood out for you? Or did you kind of maintain the same strategy throughout, or do you feel like you needed to switch your approach up while you were running later in the second half?
For me, my strat was I wanted to do an econ run or two. So like I picked Smash as my first perk as a barbarian. So I was going around breaking every chest. And like I said, first run I got run down. Second run, I got this Y-handed right away. And then I think I also picked up a green battle axe. And then I picked up like a blue horseman axe all in the same run. And I was just destroying people. I had a 1v3, and I was like one hit. Luckily, I put on morale boost, and I swung this Y-hander, and I basically I killed everybody in one swing, and I was like one hit.
I'm sad we didn't catch that on stream.
Yeah,
but hopefully
yeah.
we can get the highlights from that.
Yeah, I got it all recorded. It'll be in something, some YouTube video or something.
Strange. Talk to us about the rogues of the Discord, because I know we got a couple of them in here. How did the tournament run for you guys? Was Rogue everything you hoped it would be in solos?
Rogue is everything that it needs to be. It's in such a perfect state of balance at the moment along the scales of murder and treasure collecting. But the issue with me, and I think my chat really noticed this, is that I struggle to not take fights. And I've done it every full loop PvP game I've ever been in.
Yeah.
If I see multiple parties battling, smarter rogues and smarter players wait for their moment. I like to hold that W key and that left click button. And a lot of times that results in me entering 6 feet of soil and all my gear being lost. So I think that the Rogues Guild and all of the rogues in the world are enjoying their class. It's phenomenal. You can slip and slide and steal a lot of loot, but you kind of have to have that as your objective, right?
Yeah.
I said at the beginning I was just going to collect treasure for like 30 minutes and level up. And instead I
Immediately got
spent vast
distracted.
quantities of time in Inferno and battling the hordes of darkness.
It'll be good. I mean, there's talks and rumors of potential ranged options for rogues in the future. Who knows? Maybe we'll get some ability to harass, similar to other classes and stuff. To help kind of get involved in those third party fights without inting into them and dying after a couple of kills. But no, I very much feel you like that. I'm very much the same. I will rush into. It's sometimes just a group of 3 because I feel like I can take them. It just doesn't go that way all the time as a rogue.
You definitely have
plus,
to pick the fights.
I've been playing Barbarian all wipe. I've gotten like 4 different Barbarians to level 20. And so I've kind of got that mentality in my head that and the W key. And when you swap to you don't really have the same kind of health pool, do you?
No, you really don't. Hanzel, let's talk about the fighter. We noticed that you swapped a bit to the rogue a little bit later on, and I found that a little interesting. But we were talking in the pregame show about fighter, and I think the opinion on solo fighter is that it's gotten better with some of the changes that they've gotten. The weapons master is now 10% nerf instead of 20%. the spell slot change to second wind being one lower and the campfire duration being extended gives them more access to the second wind when they need it. And the skill ceiling on fighter with the access to so many different weapons and tools really makes them a jack of all trades, but also easy to make a lot of mistakes. How do you think fighter worked out for you there? What was the reason for switching to rogue despite the success you had?
I think fighter was good, but I feel like I was running into way too many 3-mans, and if I was doing that, I could just go on a rogue and just take one out, go back in, take one out, go back in, type thing. But the fighter was really working when I had that first game and got some good gear. But yeah, I was super unlucky that I died to that ranger triple shot. If I hadn't done that, I probably would have got way more kills. But yeah, fighter was super solid for this solo. You can definitely battle 3-mans if they're not super geared,
Absolutely. Fighter is a really solid class, and there's so many different ways to build fighter, using light armor for mobility, using heavy armor to be that frontliner for 3-mans. A lot of different ways to play the class. You can even take in extra weapons with you to try to shore up your abilities and take different types of fights. So it was really fun to watch. I think people didn't expect fighter to do too well. We were all sort of talking like wizard and barb were just going to kind of be the de facto classes, maybe a little bit of rogue. But yeah, great stuff. Kiss. We didn't really get a chance to watch too much of the gameplay there. Talk us through what your experience was like in the tournament. What class did you play?
Well, right off the bat, I started as wizard just because I felt like I was going to be able to walk around just chain lightning, and just, deal with all these 3-mans, a little bit of chain lightning, a little bit of fireball action. And I quickly learned that I was getting smoked as a default wizard. Chain lightning don't hit like it hits when you've got a couple of magic gear sets on. So I quickly switched over to barb. I was like, this is the first time I ever played barb, so I was like, oh, I'm just going to see how it goes. Got a lot of kills, did not get a lot of banks. Seems like I was a man who was dying during pretty much you get one or two, and then the third guy gets you. I was having trouble like really isolating the team when I initiated.
For sure. Anybody who's played wizard knows that when you're fresh geared and you don't even have a spell book, that staff is slow as molasses. It almost doesn't even feel like it's worth using. So wizard, really hard to get off the ground, but as we all know, really powerful once they get going. So it's sort of a balancing act of making them a little weak early on so that they have to work for it. But once they get there, man, they're scary.
Yeah, it seems like the first 30 minutes of this playtest was the make or break moment for a lot of people. It just whether or not you got that first snowball started.
For sure. Nomad?
Yep, we're just handling some of the back end stuff there as well. So yeah, what classes did you guys think were gonna perform the best? I know you all picked some different classes, but what class, outside of your own personal interest, what classes do you think, was gonna win basically, or was gonna be the best option?
Fighter or barb for sure.
Fighter or barb? See, we weren't too sure about fighter. We thought possibly barb just for just alphaing out damage and stuff coming through. I think we were very surprised by the drunken cleric and just the cleric in general. And then yeah, the fighter was doing incredibly well.
I think you have to think about like classes that are easiest to snowball with initially.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
fighter, like any class that has like an initial really banger kit, like can really like get there and then get the gear that they need to excel further into the tournament. Like I was one of those wizards. I played wizard throughout the entire tournament. And like it was brutal. It was very, very brutal for a plethora of reasons. But like you said, I actually think wizard is the most gear dependent class right now, because like you need to cross a certain threshold at this certain point in the game where lots of people are rocking somewhere between common, blue, and purple gear. And it's just hard to get like that initial takeoff if you're not confident in your ability to like get those. You need to be very exact in certain ranges to excel with wizard, I think, and know like when to go invisible, when to haste, and combo those moves. It's incredibly difficult, but it's like you said, very rewarding once you get there. But if you don't get that snowball, it's you have to staff the entire time. It's brutal.
Yeah, I think that's why
I'd like to have a word with you.
I think that's why fighter was one of those classes that was quite easy to get off the floor, right? Because you can just use such a wide array of weapons. You're really reducing the RNG of not getting a good weapon because you're bound to get something you can use that is going to be decent, right?
I found so much good fighter gear in my first few runs. Like it was, if I was a fighter, I would have been so thick.
I feel that.
That's definitely one of the benefits of having a class that can touch into just about everything. And I think that's also why uh, Fighter does so well in these solo environments is because when you're in a with this specific rule set, because you guys couldn't use the trades and you had to just take what you had, it's like, okay, you extract with 200-ish gold. As a fighter, you open up the shop and you see any blue weapon, you're like, all right, sweet, I'm good. You open up the shop as like any other class and you don't see anything good, you're like, all right, well, I guess maybe next run. It's definitely tough. I just like to hear before we haven't heard from Zanzibar's just before we let everybody go, because we're looking to wrap this up. We've been at this for a while here, but Zanzibar's, talk us through how your solo experience went. What class did you play? How to go?
I played cleric as always, only using my staff. 'Cause
Only
it
using the staff.
because it's so satisfying when you beat someone to death with the staff. And like
I
you walk
respect
up to
that.
this 3-man that's fighting a skeleton and they're scared, and then you just pop all your buffs and you walk in and you bop them with the staff, and it's beautiful. So I did all right. I started out using smite and then I switched up to judgment because some of my chat was telling me that was better. So I was using that. Got a few 3-man kills, and then one of them I ended up going to the portal too early, ran into a geared 3-man, got killed.
Oh,
Another time I just ended up dying right at the last minute because I rushed it to get out. So it went fun. It was fun. I had a lot of fun.
As
with
long as
it.
you guys enjoyed it, and one thing I will ask here as well, just to finalize, is like, how do you guys feel about the fresh start kind of 0 to hero tournament? Is this a format that you preferred to like the previous ones where we've done, allow people to go in with full gear and whatever they have in their stash, or did you like that you were all on equal footing with just fresh characters and nothing in your stash?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Even as a cleric, I was enjoying the
Yeah.
fresh start.
I think a fresh start is kind of really all that makes sense with this type of tournament, just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
agree.
we've had other issues with other tournaments where like people are getting full kits from viewers and stuff
Yes, yeah.
that
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
everybody has access to.
Mhm.
Just as someone who plays with Orlanthe, we get given so much stuff
Mhm.
for nothing. And like if we were doing a tournament, we'd be given a bunch of stuff that other people don't have access to, and I think that's unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
I
all
think
feel
I-
that way for sure. Hanzo,
I
go ahead.
think I was just gonna say quickly, like I think in the future, if we could like shoot for the devs to like give us those private servers like
Mhm.
earlier in the
Trying.
days, that would be so
We
so
did
cool.
we did
Yeah.
request, but I think there was some last minute like issues with not being able to sort out, I guess. So yeah, hopefully next time. I've been talking to them about hopefully getting a spectating tool as well. So rather than having to go individually spectate each of your streams, which is obviously like back end, there's a lot of work on our side and our team side and stuff to make sure we can keep swapping around the action.
It seemed
Being
very
able to
last
have
minute, yeah.
being able to have a spectate option is would be incredible. So it's one thing I've been talking to the devs about. I hope we can get that in at some point, because spectating would be gigantic for these kind of tournaments.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
We could take it from essentially only viable in Twitch Rivals to an actual competitive format, which I think a lot of people would really appreciate. But
Mhm.
regardless, it was a lot of fun watching all the streams, watching the successes, the failures. They are content in both ways. I'm glad that everybody had a lot of fun. That was tons of fun to cast through and watch.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully, we'll see you guys all back in the future, but we're going to wrap it up here. So thank you, everybody, for coming
Do you mind
by.
if I say something as well?
Yeah, go ahead, Vorex. The
Hey
floor is
guys, I
yours.
just wanted to appreciate all of you guys for submitting your points to that form. I know it was pretty complicated. I will promise you that the form will be easier for the next tournament. We'll make sure that there's not as much red tape. And I hope you guys had a lot of fun, and thank you so much for all your feedback on the form as well.
Thank you
Shout
so
out
much
to
for having
everybody.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
thank
having
you.
us.
Yeah, it was
hard
fun.
work.
Thank you.
Great tournament, everybody. It was good.
Yeah, it's
Alright.
actually a great time.
Yeah.
Alrighty,
Alright,
guys.
thank you all.
All right.
Hi guys, have a good one.
Yeah. Next
Thank
time,
you.
guys.
You
You too, guys.
All right, see you next
Take it
tournament.
easy.
Take it easy, everybody.
Peace out.
And a shout out to the Inquisition for sponsoring the tournament, as well as Rapunzel Investments, because without all of the support and the love from the community, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you guys for coming out, dropping the comments, the likes, and the love on YouTube, Discord, Reddit, and all the socials. Be sure to drop a follow for Nomad, Poncho, and Odin Casts, your esports shoutcasters for the tournament. And we'll see you for the next one.
Later.
Take it easy, guys.
Peace.
Hello there.